Oui, il a fait une chanson à Moblé Production, voilà. Et Moblé Production, c'est une structure qui est créée pour les jeunes qui sont dans le Guémont, pour les jeunes de l'US et tout. Moblé Production est là pour produire les jeunes talentueux, cachés, que les gens ignorent. Donc notre devoir, c'est de produire des talents cachés. Alors, il a fait un son pour Moblé Production.
Arrangé Eric Glodé, le don de Dieu pour la musique de l'Ouest. Je te détesterai jamais. Jamais, jamais, au grand jamais. Moblé Production, Abia Diaoboa, Amunyadro, Moueto Pierre. Moye, Pierre, Moye, Moye, Pierre, Moye, Ato Pierre Diawere, Pierre, Moye, Ah, Pierre, Ndato Pierre, Sopranoside, Ato Pierre Diawere, Akosiao, Moye, Pierre, Moye, Mosabo Saiko, Moye, Pierre Jimawere, Mandoyemo, Ah, Pierre Jimawere, Mandoyemo, Pierre, Ha, Diawere, Pierre, Moye, Pierre, Moye, Pierre, Moye, Pierre, Diawere, Lopoje Diawere, Soino Juniemble, Moblé Amado, let's appeler. Jamone Chipayone, Mawaja Chipayone, Ja, Plebonena Kanyopo, Siavutiena, de Kanywe, Kanyon de Koga, Sepradea, Piero Moye, Piero Moye, Piero Moye, Mogarwa, Oyawesa, Moye, Jiblo, no Pigeon Boba, Yeruno, Maboye, Piero, Piero Moye, Moblé Production. Pierre Moblé Production. Assez au clano. Yahweh a quel homme le côté. Pierre Moye, Pierre Moye, Pierre Moye, Ericona, Pierre Moye, Ah, Charlie Cona, Pierre Moye, Ah, Pierre Moye. Anade bro ajabe atia nyuru agbade ke abudi ye ono omono ne ka double ye subo somo soble so danyo paseble asenyo na yeta esa ye dibo sanere e to piero jawe ke to piero point so weke to piero iwa mo pa kaya no e ka sene la taya mo la osiane to piero ki agba ide papa ko kiao a to piero moye.
Stay tuned and we'll get this program going to Kershaba. Good evening, folks. I'm Alfonso Z. and Sort of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. We want to welcome all our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for sharing your Tuesday evening with us as usual on this network. Today is Tuesday time check is 7:54 Eastern Standard Time right here to the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. We want to welcome all of our listeners and viewers across the globe. Very shortly later, we will get this program on the way. As you know, politics is high in gear. I will be speaking with a distinguished gentleman who is the global chairperson of the Alternative National Congress. That's one of the main opposition leader group in Liberia. He's currently based here in the USA. He will be joining me here. It was almost 4 or 5 years ago I had the opportunity to talk to this gentleman, Mr. Passawit, and that was Kwame Clement Wilmont Ray. Since then, we have not had the opportunity to talk, but it's good that he's here with us here this evening, and so I'm going to be bringing him. Mr. Passaway, are you there?
I'm here, Alfonso.
Okay, good. All right, good. There you see him there appearing, making the first appearance. Not first. We talked about 4 or 5 years ago. That being a little while. So
That's
things
right.
has changed, and a lot of things have been taking place. Okay, it is a tradition here. It will sound very unfair to ask you to introduce yourself, but LPR has grown. It was then Voice of Judea. It's now Liberia Public Radio, and quite pretty well we have diverse listeners far and near other places. Let me give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to our other listening folks, and we'll get a discussion going.
Thank you, Alfonso. It's a pleasure being on the show tonight. Well, as you say, I'm Wilfred Passaway. I was born in Bumming Hills. Did in the initial schooling there, went to CWA, and went back and graduated from CSUA. I went to LU, did 3 years, and came over here and got my first degree, second degree, and I've been living here since. Married to Dorothy Thorns. I have 3 daughters, and I live in Woodbridge, Virginia. I do consulting for the federal government. I also do small business in Liberia. And I'm currently the chairman for ANC Global and one of the senior advisors to Mr. Alexander B. Cummins.
All right, there you have it. What an impressive introduction, resume, and multiple involvement. How you getting along with all of these things? Consulting, and you doing small business. You get yourself thrown into this fragile political situation, politics in Liberia. What's going on? Why?
That's a good question. It started about 10 years ago. We started the Liberian Development Group, a group of us who wanted to make a difference. And we started, that was a non-profit, not a political organization, it was a non-profit. And then as time went on, we thought there was a need to get engaged into politics because you wouldn't be able to have the kind of impact if you're not engaged in the discussion, the political discourse. And so the ANC was just forming at the time in Liberia, and it came out here and they reached out to Kwame, and he called me in, and we went out and had a discussion with them. And then we took off. We started to set up ANC USA at the time. And we stood up ANC USA and worked with ANC Liberia. And since then, we've been moving forward. We started, then we got the opportunity to attract one of the best candidates for the 2017 presidential race, Mr. Alexander B. Cummins. And we went to the elections. The results didn't come our way, but we agreed that we needed to do some introspection, to post-mortem, to get a sense of what happened, why we performed the way we did, and what are the things we could do to improve our position going forward, to make some corrections. So one of the outcomes of that was the need to form a single organization that would bring together all the support groups in the diaspora for the party. Because in our assessment, we found that we were not operating efficiently during the election. There are a lot of many support groups, Friends of Solonte, Teams Communist Liberia, ANC, USA. All these groups meant well. They brought resources and mobilization support, but they were not. We were not well coordinated. We were operating from different spheres and different organizations, so it was harder to have the kind of impact we could have had. So one of the things we agreed to do was to form a single organization. So when we did that, most of the groups, most of them came and became a part of the new agency Global, and we got started in June, last June, 2019. We launched ANC Global, and we are very excited. We have been growing and very excited and making waves, trying to get the organization at the most efficient level where we have massive membership, our fundraising programs, and our outreach are very well attended. So we're excited about where we are and where we're headed.
Okay. Believe me, I'm a very curious guy, and so sometimes I like to go into people's thought process as to how they, come up making decisions in being part of an institution. There are multiple parties, millions of parties, countless numbers of parties in Liberia. How come Mr. Passaway came to a conclusion of being part of ANC? What did you focus? What did you see in this party first of all before even coming to being part of this institution of which you are a global chair now? Why
We
ANC?
Thank you, Alfonso. When we were approached, we asked a lot of questions. Of course, we wanted to understand the basis, how they came about to form this new party. We wanted to see the original documents, the incorporated documents. We wanted to know who the initial leaders were. So we had one of the members visit the U.S. We had some discussions, and we went back to Liberia to meet with the leadership. And what we found was there was a lot of excitement. The membership, we were very straightforward. The platform was very clear and straightforward. They didn't have a preconceived notion of what the leadership or the standard bearer. They didn't have a political leader at the time. So it was something that we thought was a good idea to get started, to join them because you weren't coming into a house that was already occupied. So we got there, and they were very cooperative, very, very engaging. We had a great We have always had a great relationship with our friends, brothers, and sisters in the organization, and that kind of propelled us, made us to be more active. They approached the thinking. They were very focused and open-minded, and they engaged us, took ideas, we shared ideas, and we began to work towards building party, and then taking it from there. So, in a nutshell, they were very young, accommodating, and they didn't have a locked-in structure at the top.
Do you see ANC being inclusive in terms of the diversity of Liberia?
Absolutely, absolutely. ANC, everybody is somebody, and when you look at the organization, if you ever had the opportunity to speak with anyone who is a member or who has visited any of our meetings, everybody is engaged, is involved. We don't have structural hierarchy where people are treated differently or considered differently. This is an open party. It's open. We engage our members, our leaders. We seek input for big decisions. So there has never been any concern about a strata structure where you have one group at this level, one group at that level. What is true is that when we started, a significant amount of the support was coming, resources were coming from the U.S., but the folks
Coming
on the
from
ground,
US, I'm curious here. From whom?
Liberians in the U.S. who were members of ANC, we were raising funds to help the party in Liberia. But the folks on the ground also were very innovative. They did a lot of things on their own. So it was one of those things where the relationship was very, very mutually supportive. We saw the need to engage and help, and they were very focused and industrial. And so there has never been an issue with strata in the party. We've
No,
always had
no issue today as we speak.
no, there's no issue in the party. There's no issue in the party. We had three or four successful convention, and the party is growing, and the leadership is fully engaged. I just got back from Monrovia about 2 months ago, and there's a lot of excitement. A very, very a vibrant party. ANC is. We're growing very aggressively too.
Okay. Your first election you participated, that was the 2017 election, correct?
The first presidential election,
First
yes,
presidential elections.
correct.
Was there any lesson to learn from that election up to this point in time that ANC is trying to figure out, we should have done X, Y, Z. We didn't do it. We were new to the political landscape of Liberia. Our candidate was a new person. Do you think ANC as an institution or the political party, do you think it has adequately introduced or make her candidate known to the Liberian people?
Oh, I think so. To answer your initial thrust of your question, there's a lot of lessons we learn. Absolutely. But when it comes to political parties in Liberia, I think just looking, not speaking as a leader within the ANC, but anybody looking at the landscape knows that 21 parties, 22 parties, just too many parties. So that, for starter, that didn't make a lot of sense. And how then you correct that? Well, you can't tell people not to form their own party. The way you correct that is you amalgamate, you bring the strong parties with the same ideas and platforms together. And once you bring them together, you form a block, a formidable block. So, in other words, if you have a group of parties, you can easily find there will be three or four key parties, like in some of our neighboring countries. Then you build the institution, you institutionalize those parties, so that now you have within the fold, within our political space, if you have three, maximum four parties, you will see a lot of valuable outcome because the parties will push each other. There will be a demand for performance. People wouldn't feel that, oh, I don't have to perform because all I gotta do go tomorrow, go start my own party, or go join another small party and then wait for somebody to come buy us out or come to ask us to join them. So those are some of the critical lessons, and I think everybody is seeing. That's why we're seeing the effort to bring together the CPP. We were very confident that we were able to introduce our political leader. Now, could we have done better with more time? Yes. Have we had more time for the outreach and the introduction? We're confident we would have done better. But there were other factors too. I mean, obviously, there were other factors that didn't were not in our favor, and that wasn't just ANC. So we learned a lot from that first election, presidential election. We are correcting for that. We started correcting the day after election. We're building our party. Recruiting and outreach is something that continues. We don't wait for election. We keep going out, reaching out, engaging. So we are very vibrant. We are confident that we're headed in the right direction. And we are taking all the lessons we took from 2017.
All right, folks. Today I'm in conversation with Mr. Wilfred Passaway, is ANC Global National Global Chairperson. He is my special guest here. That was 4 years ago we have this conversation, but we are here this evening. Now, ANC, and not just only to frown on ANC, but for discussion purposes, most of our political institutions, more or less, they are centered in Monrovia. Monrovia is just new. We have 14 political subdivisions. I'm wondering, your party, is it present in the rest of the 14 political subdivision, or you guys, everybody just right in the capital there because that's where the political power boy is? Why?
No, Alfonso, we are all over. We're in the 15 counties. We are required
By
law,
yeah,
by
offices.
NEC.
I'm not just on it requirement, but do you have a
We
local
have
office?
local, yes, we do. Our political leader just toured the southeast. We have activities ongoing. In fact, yesterday he was in Grand Cape opening two offices, renovated offices.
In preparation
So
of the election?
Well, no, it's ongoing exercise. We have outreach, as I say, ongoing. We're not waiting for election. So our mobilization teams are going around the country. We are standing up different groups, auxiliaries and support groups. We are renovating our facilities where we have small facilities. There's a need to start a small program to bring people in. You know, you keep grant you if you wait for a big event before you engage the people, then you will be behind the message, behind the curve. What we're doing now is letting people see us, see our leadership, and we reach out, have small programs, and invite the people. So he was just there in Cape Town, and it was just one of the same with the same outreach and mobilization activity. So no, we are all over. We are throughout the country. There are some smaller offices, but there are
The
activities
staff,
going on.
are they paid or just volunteering?
No, they're not paid. They're volunteers. They're not paid.
Don't you see that as a potential because I don't know how often the effectiveness of people volunteering in Liberia. That's one of the reasons I don't think this political institution can survive because can you send a guy out there to be there for 3 4 months volunteering without having a full staff, or do you have extra staff that are on maybe salary, for example?
No, no, Alfonso. What we do, and again, let me be clear here, I'm not speaking for ANC, the party. I'm not a spokesman for the party. I speak as an executive of ANC Global, but there's no contradiction in what I'm telling you. So what I'm telling you is in fact factual. We don't we don't have people on salary. What we do is we find resources to augment or support our operations. So, for example, if you have the office in Cape Town, we go through find members who can bring in resources to help to buy supplies and materials to help to renovate, to help pay the lease. So those are things you will find people, members doing, but we don't have paid staff. Yes, there are a lot of volunteers around. There are many people who have been volunteering for years, and you will be surprised to know that this is some people have many of them, not all of them. Many of them also have other pursuits, work in a day, and then sometimes they come into the party headquarters. Some who are not working, but they spend most of their time at the party headquarters. So yeah, there are people, and that's why I say we represent all sector of the Liberian society: the unemployed, the youth, the women, the employed. So there are people who fit all strata, and then they're able to support the operation of the party when they have time available. We have a small secretariat, and that's one is headed by our Secretary General and his staff. But most of the other people are just coming in to help as needed.
Mr. Passaway, for the purpose of my listening audience and then to bring me to the point of understanding, I find it a little bit troubling and to understand the structure, the compositions of ANC. I'm hearing ANC Global, Friends of Alexander Comey, and the political party. How can we set those institutions apart from the me institution? Liberian people seems to be confused, and I'm confused too as well. What am I going wrong here?
No, we have one party, ANC. The party is based in Liberia, and that's the party. ANC Global is a support organization. All other organizations that intend to support ANC have been invited to be a part of ANC Global. So exactly the question you're asking, that's what we're trying to avoid, because you may easily confuse the public if you have Friends of Cummings, Friends of Solente, all these organizations that still support the party and Mr. Cummings, but they're all spread around. Like I told you, when we came from 2017, we did a post-mortem. We did an assessment to find out what are the things we needed to do to correct some of the missteps we had, because those things did not help us. So one of the critical things we agreed to that had to happen was there has to be everything has to be under one umbrella. So once we made our recommendation, the leadership, Mr. Cummings, signed off on that, and we stood up ANC Global, and we stood it up around the world. There are 7 global regions. We have APAC, we have Africa, we have Europe, and then we have the 4 regions in the United States. East, South, West, and Midwest. So again, the idea is there are people, Liberians living all around the world, but it's just like the National Democratic Party here in the U.S. There are affiliates all around the world. And you in South Africa, you can see the National Democratic Party, South Africa branches. So we have the global structure. So those regions they roll up to the global.
So, in context here, the global is a supplementary arm to give support to the institution itself as
Correct.
because I remembered during your luncheon in Minnesota, those were your comments to be a support system to the ANC.
Correct. There are three core or key objectives or purposes for which ANC Global was established. We are established to provide mobilization, fundraising support, and strategic support. So what we have done is said, look, we are not on the ground, but we can find resources from Liberians who are in the diaspora and then come together so we can support the party. So our focus on those three, we are focused on those three key objectives. That's the basis for which ANC Global was established. We don't create policy. We don't create our own narrative. We follow what the party is going. And so in that regard, fundraising is to support the party. It's a one way we make sure we raise funds to support the party from Liberians.
What's about strategy-wise for the sources of the mother organization? Do you also provide a sort of political consultancy or strategy for the mother organization?
We provide input. The way it would work, the party has a lot. If you've been tracking the party, we have a lot of brain power in the party. We have, I think, about 7 or 8 lawyers, attorneys. We have many astute professionals who are currently members of the party. So they have a lot of brain power already on the ground, doing a lot of good stuff. So from time to time, there might be a need for us to help with a particular element of a particular issue. And they may be looking at maybe putting out a document about something outside of Liberia, and we would need to step in. Or they may need some additional hand to help with a particular program or documentation. So yes, that's why we provide strategic support. It's not fixed or defined. It's when the party needs us, that's when we step in and we come in to help.
What is the strategy? Has been seen Mr. Passaway been parading, going on different networks here, and seems to kind of get the message of ANC here. What is the strategy? What is the target point here?
Alfonso, if you don't define yourself, if you don't explain what you're trying to do, if you don't let people hear from you, you know this business better than most people. There's a likelihood that if you don't do that, that you will be defined incorrectly. In other words, if you don't get out and tell people who you are, what you're trying to do, what you represent, you can't blame them if they hear something else and follow it. So we recognize that, we've been quiet and been trying to build the organization, but from time to time, there's a need for us to get ahead of the message. Sometimes you hear things, people, of course, the internet, everybody thinks that he or she has all the answers, they can make the case for anything. But we realize people need to hear from us. They need to understand what we're all about, what we're trying to do. So we tell our story. We come out and tell our story.
I might be thinking not to intercept you, Mr. Passaway. I might be thinking, say, okay, well, Mr. Passaway, he's a global guy. He's just happened. But the main person, the main character of this whole episode here is on the other side. We are not even hearing from the party chairman. And I'm not saying that because he's not on LPI. It doesn't mean. But do you think, are they forcefully coming out too as well to preach the party agenda? So we see a lot of people on podcasts who profess to be ANC and other people. Are these people speaking directly for ANC? Who are they? ANC acknowledge what they are doing to push the agenda? Get me to the point here.
Unfortunately, we can't control everybody who wants to say anything. That's almost an impossibility. But the party from time to time holds press conferences. The political leader goes out on the airway the Secretary General, the other leaders, the chairman, they do go out from time to time. Now, understandably, there are sometimes people say, we'd like to see more of this, we'd like to see more of that, which is not unreasonable. It's not an unreasonable expectation. But we do go out, the leaders go out, they maybe not as much as people expect. And there's some things, like I say, you see me now, you haven't seen me in the last, since we started. I just started making rounds in the last 2, 3 weeks to make sure we tell our case, to explain to people what we are all about and what we're trying to do. So that is something that I expect will also continue in Monrovia, because we want to make sure the people hear from us, and so that they can appreciate where we go and the basis for our interest in wanting to help make Liberia a better place.
Okay. So, okay, well, folks, today my special guest here is Mr. Wilfred Passaway as the ANC Global Chairperson right here in the USA in an exclusive yet on the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. I'm your host, Alfonso Zienso. Now, and your leader that I contested in the last election, is that the presidency his ultimate target?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been asked this question a couple of times, Alfonso, and what we say is, look, take yourself for example. When you have an interest in something, that your interest is what you pursue, and you have a reason for going after that interest. It's not wrong. It's not unreasonable to say, okay, I only want to be a senator. And somebody say, oh, well, why you want to be representative? Well, suppose that's not what I want, you know? And the reason he said that, he didn't just say, I just want to be president. People sometimes mischaracterize that. What he's laid out very clearly is that, look, the most impactful position in Liberia is the presidency, which is a fact. The presidency is the most impactful position in Liberia.
Why only the presidency? Mr. Cummins, your party, the other opposition party, the blame game has been the lawmakers, both houses of government, they are rubber stamp, they are lying bills, concessions without vetting nominees by the executive, they are going through. So why some of these oppositions, why not test their political strength? For example, Mr. Cummings could say, okay, what is going on in the Senate is unfair, it's not real. I want to be a senator for Maryland County. Why only the presidency is the only impactful positions in Liberia? There are three branches of government, they have different functionality, they have different jobs to be done to check and balances on the executive branch of government. You here, you have seen it, people have contested for presidency. If it doesn't work out, they come back to even be governor, to be representative and senator. Why is it not applicable in Liberia?
Alfonso, that's a very good question. But that's a personal question. That's a personal decision. If, like I just explained to you, if you decide you want a particular position, you may choose not to pursue anything else. That's your prerogative. That's your call. And again, there's nothing wrong with other positions. It's just your desire, your interest in the way you want to go is go in that particular direction. The issue of the Senate and the three branches of government, I would say this. Obviously, anyone who can make a difference anywhere should be welcome. The CPP recognized that there's an interest it's very important for us as a country to strengthen the legislature, and that's something that we're working on through the CPP process. The factors we have to consider is vetting the right candidates, because again, I said the Liberian people are not stupid. They have a very keen interest in what direction we should be going as a country, and if they see failed senators, people who have not performed, and all we try to do is to rush them through. It doesn't have to be, and it doesn't mean any one party. All of us, all the members of the CPP, we have to be very careful in our vetting, because if we're not careful, we pay a price for it, and we will not be something we will benefit from. So the idea is you bring the right candidates, vet them, and promote them. And once they're successful, you'll be strengthening the Senate. In the absence of a strong opposition, you put one or two persons in the Senate. You see it today. They don't have the impact because they don't have the number. So the best people there, Darius DeLon and a few other senators and a few other the Liberty Party senators. These are people who are determined, strong, but they can't carry the day because they don't have the number. So until you strengthen that core, you create a strong core of opposition senators where we have the numbers, then you can make the case
So,
that they can have the impact that the Senate should have.
yeah, talking about the number, talking about the impact, there's no question about that. You know, and I know that the oppositions in the bloc do have they are in majority in both houses of government, and so sometimes I wonder how this thing is playing out. That we are saying, and you guys are saying, there's always a free pass to the for the president's agenda without it being vetting. I saw Darius Dillon, Senator Copart, coming out speaking on this the proposed Roberts International Airfield Highway. So, is there any coordination here on the part of the opposition, not just only to antagonize government subjective, but to be it also they are responsible. They have a constitutional responsibility to provide check and balances on the to the government that is served here. But I see some sort of a disconnect. How are they coordinated? Do you think they are doing it the right way or just mere politics?
I, also, I'm not in their minds, and I can't. I'll be presumptuous to suggest why they're doing it. But I think what we all can see is the result, what they do or don't do. If you look at the situation in Liberia, unfortunately, we put people in the Senate for 9 years. We put people there. You got two terms that almost like a whole generation. So you see that kind of disconnect. You create people the opportunity to not be accountable for a long time. Okay, that's one very important thing to mention to note. The other thing is you can you can there's no easier way to pull back a non-performing center. There's no recall provision that has been executed ever. I'm not aware of any. So in other words, once they pass the gate and become a senator, then it gets harder and harder for you to force them to perform because then they are almost like they are the people are at the mercy of the Senate because you unlike other places where there are strong provision for recall and where the tenure is short, you pretty much have to just go with the hope that this person wouldn't change and they maintain their integrity and stand and represent the county they were voting in for. But unfortunately, we're not seeing that, and many of them they go in there and they just don't do anything, or whatever they do is not in the interest of the people. So the answer usually should be in the structure, in the law. But again, we don't have the mechanism in place. The extensive tenure, the lack of recall provision, and the whole lack of enforcement of everything. The code of conduct is not enforced. People get to do whatever they want to do almost at will. So it's going to require a large group of people with consistency and full determination that will go in there and try to make right many of these things that are not right. The executive has a lot of leverage. The executive manages the treasury, and every senator wants a small pet project here and there, or wants something done in their county, or they need some kind of help with employing some of their relatives. So all these things are at the mercy of the executive. So again, until we put in place a strong opposition, well vetted, we'll be dealing with this for another generation or two. So we intend to change that. That's why we're taking the approach of the CPP to bring a formidable force to the opposition.
Talking about the CPP, let's talk here a little bit. Are you hearing me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Talking about
I hear you.
the CPP here. Let me get a sense of the sort of arrangement that was initially constituted in terms of these you guys. These are political institution parties with different ideologies. They have their own beliefs, they have their own agenda, and they decide to come together. Was there some sort of a technical team or temporary team drawn out in terms of how they're going to be conducting themselves while they are trying to form this sort of merged political union?
All right, I'm not again. Bear my caveat, but I'm not a spokesperson for the CPP. What I would say is mostly factual, but it's not coming as a spokesperson for CPP. Yeah, the CPP, they do have a technical working group. The leaders meet regularly, and we're very close to consummating the framework. And the framework has been discussed, developed over the last several months. And so they have been functioning. They have been, you bring four groups together, you can expect there will be a lot of different views, different horse trading, if you want to call it that. And that, I know you're making the analogy is like you're making sausage. It's not the best process and the most beautiful process, but in the end, you enjoy the sausage. So again, these groups come together. There are a lot of horse trading, but we're very confident. The leaders have set a very good pace, all with all the challenges that they had to deal with, and they are very close to finalizing the framework. And yes, there's a strong functioning technical group that's making all of this possible.
There have been a lot of name callings of your political leader being someone that is betraying the CPP. He did not form the consensus during the protests and all of that now. And recently, CPP chairperson Mr. Benana Yuri, right? And Ure has taken a definitive position while the negotiations is still in process. That seems to mean kicking the can down the road, making it very difficult. And that's one of the reasons I was asking as to whether there was some sort of initial basis in terms of how these institutions could conduct themselves. But he came out and he was very, very much vehement his position. But at the same time, he alluded that the negotiation is still in the making. And now Costa came back and said, look, Cuban people didn't listen. How can Liberians, if you guys seeing yourself as an alternative to the problems in Liberia and to see how it playing out now, that's scary to me.
Alfonso, let me put it to you this way. I heard what Mr. Yuri said, and I think we addressed that we had a press conference to address that. It's not healthy, it's not helpful when you have a group and one of the leaders comes out and makes a kind of disparaging or negative statement. That's not helpful. But as I said, the leaders looking at the big picture. And the big picture is the consummation of an agreement within the CPP. They have been working towards that, and that is fairly close. And we are all confident that that agreement will be consummated. That agreement will have a provision, as it's been agreed to. When it is finalized, it will have an agreement to have a consensus. If there is no consensus arrived at, a consensus as defined by the United Nations, that means there'll be no dissension. If you don't have a consensus, then you have a VPS. The VPS is a pool. I don't know why we use that name VPS. We should just say you run a pool or you take a pool. They have pool run.
I know, right? Why does scientific? It's a practical, first of all.
To have a poll.
The VPS system, the
that
ANC.
Poll.
Yeah.
I want to say they need a VPN, they use poll because they do it every day here. Look at just go to realpolitics.com. You see almost 30, 40 polls every day. You do poll for everything, even Liberia. 3 weeks ago, the National Democratic Institute, they ran poll in Liberia. You do poll. When you're doing polls, the subject, they don't need to know how to run poll. They're not them who will do the analysis. The people who execute the poll, that the methodology, they're the one who know how to run it.
Why ANC, why the party, you as a global person, sir, why is ANC, what is the rationale of ANC pushing this?
Okay, let me spell it out. A good question, Alfonso. You got 4 groups coming together, 4 different parties. And if the reason for the CPP, that's very clear upfront, is to come together to win elections to develop Liberia. Let's keep that in mind, Alfonso, because that's the core. The whole, we didn't come together just to drink coffee and shake hands.
No.
We came together because we believe together we can put a formidable force and win election to improve the country, to take the country in a different direction. Okay, if that's the rationale, if that's the reason for coming together to win election, how do you then know who the best candidate to put? Well, even if you went to a primary, how would you gauge the strength of the candidates? The best way before election, everywhere in the world they will tell you that. Anyway, you have democratic institution, democratic government or government. The best way to find out is to poll and do a poll, run a poll. Let the prospective voters tell you. It's done. It's not difficult. There's a method to it. And then once you get that feedback, you will know how these leaders rank. You see everything on the screen.
Is that something your leader feels so comfortable or sure that something perhaps might work in his favor? Is that the reason or what?
Well, no, here's the beauty of that now. That's a good question because we don't know how it will pay out. We don't know. Nobody can guess how. What we do want to happen, we want to have people, the people going to the primary, to have informed decision, which is not unreasonable, because we want to make sure before we go to the primary, Alfonso, let's know how these people rank. If you don't know, that means you're going to vote blindly. Then guess what? It will defeat the purpose for which we came together. We came together to win the election. So if we're going to win election, the best way to win election is to test the strength of the people before we put them on the ticket. Huh? That one there, I think, is simple. I don't see anything difficult there, Alfonso, because I don't want to say I want Bapi in a I want win election.
One of your collaborative foes is finding a problem with it, and he has taken a definitive position. How can you guys go back after having said to conclude everything, and he came out in the public now? He has taken a position. So how can you guys come to a conclusion on that?
Oh, I think they passed that point. I think they have passed that point. I think the final framework will contain a VPS, and everybody, the other leaders, they all agree that the issue was not, again, I don't want to regurgitate the past Rick Monroe, because there's no real benefit to all of us. But the bottom line is the VPS, there will be a consensus of VPS in the primary. If a consensus is arrived at or is reached, which means that all 4 political parties, the leaders of 4 political parties, have a unanimous agreement, there's no dissension, no one of them disagrees, then the next 2 steps will not necessarily be, we may have the VPS, but it will not be for the purpose of going to select, to identify the thing, because there are other issues. Remember, we came together to make the difference for the country, to develop a strong quarter of candidates to win power, to change the country. So we want to find out what the people want. What are the issues that people have in mind? So the VPS, not just to identify the strength of candidates. You can use VPS, and we may end up doing that to also gauge the feedback from the population about a whole bunch of other things. So the consensus, if it's arrived at, if it's not arrived at, then you have VPS, and then after the VPS, then you have the primary, then you go to convention.
Okay, so let me look at the arrangements on this collaboration, because we talk to people in and out, and a lot of Liberians too also have apprehensions in terms of your information processing multiple, and these are things that we front on national government, where you have multiple people speaking. This seems to be taking place within the opposition column. So that also gives a hair scratching to a lot of Liberians. How is the information being coordinated? Who is who? Or can anybody just come because I'm from ALP, I'm from ANC, and just talk and go on Facebook, send a tweet, and then at the end of the day, it becomes a firewall? How is the information processing is being coordinated by all of these institutions? Any discussion prior to you guys coming to the collaboration?
Now, when you say the authorizing people to speak, as I said, I would give you a disclaimer. Unfortunately, Alfonso, the beauty of a democracy and the internet, it has its own drawback. I can't.
No,
I mean,
but
wish you tell people.
So if we have an executive member, not just ordinary member, Mr. Tai pass away. If I'm an executive member of ANC here and speaking and say, okay, well, maybe I'm not speaking as ANC, or I'm not speaking as member of the CPP. It's like, George, we are telling me, I'm here today as a president. I'm here to make force. I did not come as a president, but though security, government taxpayer provide his security at the conference. So that's just been disingenuous. It's the very same things we frown on. People are doing it. Now you are trying to take state power. Don't you see yourself or these opposition to do it? It might not be 100% perfect, but to do it distinctly, so they say, okay, with these people, they will be a little bit breathtaking.
No, we do admonish our leaders and our members. We do admonish them. And this is the reality. Even as much as we do that, there will be those who will go out and put out announcements that they're not supposed to. They're not putting out announcements who engage in making statements that may not be sanctioned or approved. That's part of the discourse online. People in all chat rooms, they're on these different boards discussing things. We know officially when we have a position, we put out our position formally. Now, when people put out something, we see it, we call them into account. We admonish them to discontinue that. And in many cases, we tell them to pull it down, whatever they put down. The idea is you want to have a strong communication structure, but at the same token, you don't want to hide everything you're doing or to only a few people to know. That's not a very healthy environment. So you would bring in your executive for executive discussion. It happens all over the world. You know, you're right here. The leak, you can't stop, even from the White House, you can't stop leak. The people go to the White House, they go to the meeting, before they come out, they have somebody not take video,
they've been taking phones from there, it's still not they're not working right.
It's not working. So you see that and then we're a small country, we can't spend a lot of time and energy trying to police everybody. And so the best thing to do is, the way we see it, to be upfront, quickly give the people the answers, and then let the leadership and the people share the information. Because if you try to create a gate, information gate, that's when you have these problems. So if you're doing it right, you have an executive committee, you make a decision, put it out. Put it out, let the people have it. So when you have misinformation, you can correct it easily. Or the people who know the fact will correct it before you even get there. So we see a lot of that. People come in quickly and set the record straight. So it's not easy to manage an environment where you have people all over and you share information, then you can't control it once you share it. But we continue to do that. We admonish our leaders and our members to try to be factual, stick to the fact, and not go into extraneous matters.
Okay, Mr. Paso, we want to take a quick commercial commitment from one of our sponsors, and we will be right back. And when we come back, I will be asking Mr. Paso if ANC, the Alternative National Congress, has been infiltrated or not. We're going to take a quick commercial break, Mr. Paso, and we'll be right back.
Anonymous.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Fabric Queen of Philadelphia. Fabric Queen of Philadelphia is 100% African-owned business. At Fabric Queen, we are specialized in high-quality wax product, Swiss lace, jewelry, and beauty products that will make you shine like the Queen of Fabrics. We are located at 6625 on Woodlands Avenue, 10 Philadelphia. Telephone number 215-800-0228. Tell the management of Fabrice Queens in Philadelphia is easy and salt of the Liberia Public Radio gives you this message. Tell all Akwaba.
When you hold me, I hold you. When you touch me, I touch you. When you play me, I play you. Let me see you do.
The tax season is here again, and one thing you want is you don't want to go to people who will. A lot of the times we see in our community, they will mess your tax up and then they are nowhere to be found. So, I mean, my records are there. All of my clients, they have never had any issues. So, I'm available, like I said, throughout the year. And this tax season, I'm ready to roll. You can contact me. My phone number is 267-265-7903, 267-265-7903. And my address where I do the business is 539 South 4th Street, Darby, PA 19023. 539 South 4th Street, Darby, PA 19023. And you can see my office is right here. Everything is set up, the computer, my printer, everything is set up. And since the tax season started, that's all I've been doing. And again, I do a lot for my clients. Like I said, I help them. Even if you have filed your taxes in the past with other people and you have had problem, and then your problem have not been resolved, and the IRS keep writing you, whole lot of letters, you can't understand what these letters are, you can call me and then I will explain to you exactly what to do. If you owe the IRS and you want to make payment plan, I'm available. I can help you set up a payment plan with the IRS to stop bugging you. Another thing I do is there are other people who want to pay estimated taxes. The IRS write them a lot about estimated taxes, and I can do estimated tax for my client as well. And there are some people who own businesses, small businesses in the borough or in the city, like the city of Philadelphia, the borough of Darby, and then the borough will write down about the borough tax or city tax, and then they don't know where to start from. I help a lot of small businesses as well to do their borough and city taxes. The things that I do for my clients, I do
also helping out here to provide some sponsorship to the Liberia Public Radio, Fabrice, Uncle Musa, and fictitious financial services. These are young Liberians involved in tax. That's a tax season time, so of course we are in the proximity of Philadelphia, the Delaware Valley. Just contacting and just telling that Liberia Public Radio, Alfonso Z and so gives you this message. Mr. Pastor, are you there?
I'm here, Alfonso.
Okay, so here talk to me here. I know every political institution, they have their own little ordeal going on. Do you see ANC being infiltrated by other people out there to detract the message of your political leader or the institution? But I want to play this here, and I want you, then it will give you a sense to react to it. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. We want to extend our heartfelt greetings to every one of you for gathering here today. We will also like to recognize and appreciate for anticipating the entire originatives that we are gathered here for. I'm 4-day in Massacre, and I
Is
would
it
like
playing?
to
I'm not hearing
officially
anything going.
welcome you to the Cummins Youth Movement press conference as the chairman on executive, the national chairman of the Cummins Youth Movement.
Are you hearing that?
Believe Topa will be speaking to you. Thank you very much.
Are you hearing it now?
Very much,
Yeah, it's very low, but I'm
Comrade
yeah.
Adeolodge, for the revolutionary massacre.
Yeah, but it's very faint. But,
Distinguished colleagues and executive members of the Cummins Youth Movement,
Or maybe you can
Executives,
monitor, if you have a phone, you can monitor on
members of the
if you're
Council
on
of
Facebook,
Patriot
you
Youth
can
Wing,
monitor the audio.
the collaborating political parties, youth and student communities, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Cummins Youth Movement CYM official press
I may
statement,
have heard it, so then I can.
October
respond to-
21st, 2019. The Cummins Youth
I'm not hearing you
Movement
again.
denounces
I'm going to
and
come to
dissolves
that.
its
I will
support
let you know.
to
Just let
Mr.
me just
Alexander
edit it, I
Benedict
will let you
Cummins and calls on the CPP
All right.
to
Are
expel
you hearing me?
the ANC
I'm hearing you. Yes.
from
know.
the
Yeah, okay, I
collaborating
will
political
provide you a little bit
parties
overview. Just
effective immediately. This expulsion is intended for the betterment of Liberia and conglomerating the efforts of all of us youths and true patriots. We bring you greetings from the pinnacle of youthful consciousness, we the executives and members of the CYM. We are moved with earnest and sincere remorse to deliberate to the Liberian people with a sense of obligation, speaking truth and factuality for the betterment of our dearest country, Mama Liberia. Over the years, we have promoted and supported the image and vision of Mr. Alexander B. Cummins, standard bearer of the Alternative National Congress ANC, believing that this character was an ideal individual that could prioritize the progress of this republic, Liberia. On the contrary, we have seen the complete opposite of our support to Mr. Cummins and of his ANC, of recent ranging from his over-ambitiousness for power, political greed, his inability to consider country first before self, and his continuous undermining of the opposition bloc that we believe is a recipe and trend that could undermine the current plan of the Liberian masses to unseat the current failed ruling establishment at the 2023 general and presidential elections. With this gross molestation of our precious support that Mr. Cummins and his ANC has let down in the mud, has left us to immediately identify the major counts that have caused the Cummins Youth Movement CYM serious embarrassment from its members and supporters throughout the country, because Mr. Cummins' over-ambitiousness and political greed has caused the Cummins Youth Movement to officially disembark her support to said political leader and its political institution. Count number 1, undermining of the opposition bloc. Mr. Cummins and his ANC continue to portray themselves as pretenders to the progress of the CPP, creating a scene wherein the Liberian people are confused and out of decision to reason whether the CPP is united or not. The fielding of candidate in Grand Cape County senatorial by-election, wherein they, ANC/Cummins, pretended as if they were supporting the CPP candidate that gave rise to CPP being defeated in the process. Mr. Cummins continues showing up with Mr. Tao Wongbe as the candidate of the CPP in Nimba, wherein the CPP is yet to officially decide is a gross disrespect to the collaboration. Count number 2, over political greed. Mr. Cummings and his ANC eagerness for power is beyond any sense of political understanding. Greed has led Mr. Cummings to refuse the chance to serve the Liberian people
All right,
when he was asked to
are you there,
contest as senator
Mr. Passaway?
in order to
I'm here,
understand the
Pastor.
dynamics
Okay,
of
let's
governance in
get to the
Liberia.
discussion here.
Mr. Cummings claims that
Hopefully,
he won't contest any position below the presidency,
young folks,
convincing us Liberian
happens
people
to be,
that his character is so
a
greedy
supporter,
for power.
a group calling itself the Alternative National Congress Youth Wing of Mr. Cummings. Do you have the opportunity to listen to that press conference?
I heard a bit of it. Sometimes it was some time ago, I believe. I heard some bits and pieces of it. I remember that incident.
Yeah, and they came up with a strong word. I do not know the strength of the group. I don't know how long they have been with ANC. We're still yet to get the details that led them to take their decision. But how troubling it is, because when you have a group that is supporting a presidential candidate and have gone out there to sell this person and to just face the media and using some of these strong words that they are on ANC is undermining the very CPP that they have formed collaboration. Those are the sort of soundbite in there. They echo into some of the soundbite of Mr. Costa as well that has to do with one with the Inima County. How troubling is this sort of information filtering in?
Alfonso, if you've been in politics or in life where you have people coming in, you have to be prepared for these kinds of situations. If you're not prepared for them, then maybe you're in the wrong area. You shouldn't be where you are. Can you control all of them? No. We don't have any particular qualms about what we're representing, what Mr. Cummings stands for, what he's doing. There are those politicians, and they are all over this place. Like we were just talking about how even in the White House.
But they have been the auxiliary of ANC, correct?
Well, let's step back though. My recollection, my understanding is that they were just introduced. There was a group that came forward. I don't know all the details, so I want to be clear here. But what I know is that they came in, they were just a group that represented that they wanted to be a part of the organization, and they were prepared to support. I don't think there are some group that have been around from the inception or been around long enough, and they were not some group that we formed. So again,
But they were welcome with open arms.
Of course.
So then, what was the term? But like you said, I had to do this here, and not to put you on the poll here this evening here. But these are concerns about our country. These are some of the things that high stars, and then later on it becomes uncontrollable. So I am troubled here because we see some of the Saint CDC, Youth Wing, South, and they just ready to make some major press conferences, in fact, to the extent when it becomes a national issue. So the question now is, how the institution is being regulated? I mean, anybody speak, okay, you say you don't have control over it, but for God's sake, these are people who are saying they are movement for the promotions of Cummings, and now they are coming out to say this guy here, they made a wrong decision. That sends a wrong message.
No.
So on what terms and conditions these people were incorporated in the first place? Because they came as a group and you wanted people, so you accepted them, you embraced them without even questioning their authenticity, the ideologies of the party?
No, if you put it that way, then it sounds like nobody was paying attention to anything. We just lied and people just came in and said, and we took everything. When people have ulterior motives, politicians, they can pay these young people to do any number of things. The way I understood it, that group has been around. This is not the first time they've done this. They've been around to all the politicians. They will come in, get some money, and this person pay them more money. Then they move from there and go say a lot of things. But be that as it may, it cannot rattle us, Alfonso. The young people, they're desperate. Some of them have the imagination that they can create this environment where they will be relevant. So what he demonstrated there, have you heard anything about that since then? No, because people figure quickly who knew the background, the story, where this group came from. And of course, we ourselves have to revisit some of the processes that we put in place for accepting or welcoming groups. That's a fact. We have to go back and make sure we tighten the process. But it wasn't like
So
a group.
what I'm hearing now, these conditions will be revisited and maybe put in some measures who come
Well, you
in
have
as
to.
much. I know, Party, you want to welcome people, but hey,
Yeah, you have to.
you don't
Every
just you
time
want
you
to
have
welcome
these.
meaningful people, people who will articulate, people who will be able to bring vote, people who will be able to persuade people, not people who want to cause problems for your political leaders and go out there and make some ridiculous statements and the party can speak or the leader can speak to it, you're like, okay, you know what? This guy is the one sending these people to do their better work.
Alfonso, anytime, regardless of how smart or how structured an organization is, anytime you have a situation like this, you have to check and do an assessment. What did we do? We should have done differently. We could have done differently. You make adjustments. That's if you don't do that, then you're not a good manager or good leader. We've done that. So what the point I'm making is these are people who have a motive. They come from different politicians. That cannot drive us. We will look at what we did and how we did it and correct it. But we're not going to say when young group comes, we should do no more accept any group because this group came, they were paid, they came with a motive. No.
So
What we
do you think
we
this action was politically motivated, applying financial violence?
of course. Of course.
Do you have an
Come on,
idea who that?
Alfonso.
Do you,
Alfonso.
I don't know, Mr. Passaway.
I'm
I don't
telling you.
know.
Look,
You are a
I mean,
consultant. You receive more phone calls than I do, and some
I
of
don't
these
know
people.
about that, but I can tell you, if you're a politician in Liberian politics, there are certain things that once the power by you smell it. You don't need to go too far. Everybody knows this is like I told you. This is not the first time they've done this. There's a history to this group. I don't know all the intricate
So what
part of
was
the
done
details,
to
but
avoid this situation? But tell me here a little bit. You seem to get a little bit more detailed information than I do. Who can we point fingers to? Is it fair to say that?
point finger in what respect though? How
You
this
said it
happened?
was politically motivated. Which group?
No. I don't know who instigated it. I mean, I don't know
The
that.
government? You think so? The government bloc?
I can't say that because I don't know for a fact. I can't say that. I definitely it will be malpractice on my part to postulate anything that I
But
can.
then how you come to the conclusion of them being it was politically motivated?
When you take the totality of all the activities, you don't need to have the person. You can look at all the totality. There's a history, the manner in which it happened. Before it happened, I understand there was a request for money. So all those things you take all together,
Requesting
it tells.
money from whom?
I don't know the details, but there was a request for money from this group. And all of these things put together, it tells you there's something else behind it. It's not normal. But that's not where we spend our time. As I told you, we recognize that the process, we have to revisit the process. We're not going to stop young people or any group from joining ANC. We encourage people to come to us. Because if you are afraid that somebody will come and misbehave or leak, then you will not engage with people. No, we're not worried about that. Is there something we think should happen? Yeah,
It would be a lifelong time thing we're going to be dealing with.
You do it forever. You're not stop doing focusing where you need to focus. We're not bothering us.
All right.
Yeah,
One of the patient politicians I ever talked to, Nanti seemed to move in. He's always kind and reliant, and that's Mr. Wilfred passed away. Let's see here if we can put nails on the head. Do you think your political leader, Mr. Alexander Cummings, even though he strongly believes in a different system, another group of the collaborating force believes in a different system, do you see this holding? And if that is the case, do you see your leader, Mr. Alexander Cummings, to abide by the process at the end of the day?
Mr. Cummings, throughout his professional life, throughout his life, the adult life, has been a man of the highest integrity. The ANC, the leadership, this decision to join CPP was not a one-man decision. It was made by the leadership. And when I say the leadership, he's the head of the organization, but he's a very astute leader. He takes critical decisions to the executive committee, and make sure there's buy-in. When the Alternative National Congress committed to be a part of the CPP, it was not conditional. Now, if you reaching the agreement, you will have, like I said, you're making sausage back and forth. Once that decision is arrived at and agreed to, the framework is signed and agreed and formalized, ANC will abide by the outcome of that framework. With the one caveat, and I shared this with a couple of folks I spoke to, as long as the terms and conditions are respected and honored, because you can't force me to stay somewhere if you aren't honoring the terms and conditions. And I believe the terms and conditions will be honored, will be maintained. So if we say we are going to sign an agreement, you can be sure we will stick by the outcome of that agreement. There's no question about that.
What a possible scenario do you think that this agreement will possibly not hold? There seems to be an unbalanced skills here from what I'm hearing. There might be other alternative. What possible scenario do you think? Not Mr. Cummins, but ANC will find it very difficult to continue in the collaborative mode.
I didn't say that though. Let me be clear though, Alfonso. What I said was we believe it will stick. We are committed to.
Yeah, I'm talking in terms of probability. What scenario do you think? I know you don't want to go into hypothetical here, but we are human beings. We're going to be dealing with people of different background, different political ideology. Uri has come out now with his position. We don't know what's going to be the definitive position of ANC. We don't know what, at the end of the day, what Joseph Boyka, Unity Party, Liberty Party too will be coming up. But since I have you here as the global chairperson here, perhaps discussion is ongoing with inside the hierarchy of ANC. Give her a little bit, JC, what are some of the probabilities that they are talking about?
When you get married, when you agree to get married, you don't start thinking about how we run away or how we jeopardize their marriage when this happened, when that happened, when this happened. When you go into a marriage, you go with your heart and your commitment, your full commitment. We're going to this marriage with our heart and our full commitment. Alfonso, we're not thinking about what will happen. Yeah,
there you go, Mr. Wolf passed away. Okay, it's Mr. Cummins. Is he willing to serve to go as number 2? Because you made it clear here, his ultimate goal, the top is the higher decision-making body. In the case of where the process that he's pushing for does not favor him, is he willing to go in a secondary position on a ticket?
Alfonso, I can't speak for Mr. Cummins or ANC, but what I can say, and I said before.
What has been the ANC argument? You've provided consultancy. What is the contingency plan that you're putting in for them as well? Going to discussion is not going to be 100% perfection. There might be some other things down the road there. So what is the backup plan for ANC?
Well, I can tell you how we will respond, and that is we will live up to the commitment of the agreement. Now, how that is play out, that'll be speculative on my part. What I do say, and I say it openly, I believe all the leaders are committed to the agreement. Will be fully committed, and they will honor the terms and conditions of the agreement. And we also, the NC and Mr. Cummins, will honor it. So that, Alfonso, when the outcome is going one way, and that is the way the agreement defined that will be that particular activity will happen, we have to respect it. We have to honor it. Now, I don't want to get into the discussion of what if this happened, because that would be presumptuous on my part, and that's speculative. I don't want to go down that space because it would a rabbit hole. You go down that, you can go in another direction. But all I would say is, look, we are going to be getting to an agreement with our peers out of the highest honor, respect, and with full commitment to live by the outcome of the agreement. So again, I think we couldn't say any clearer. We're committed to it and we stick to terms.
Okay, well, we hope and I hope everything going to be okay. So you said your guy is on a tour now. What is the message that he's getting out there to electors?
He just did the southeast. He's getting ready to go to further in Lofa and Bong, and somewhere I think in March. I think somewhere in March or April. When you engage the people, again I don't have his message scripted, but when you reach out to the people, you reach out to listen. That's one of the most important things you do when you do these tours. You go to listen to hear them. They have different ideas. They have appeals. They welcome you, but then they want you to hear some of the things they're looking for in the next president and the next government. So we're doing all of that. We don't want to wait till election time. Like I said, you don't want to wait to do outreach. You do outreach when you don't need the election. You don't need people to go to the poll to go vote. You reach out to them, engage them, listen to them, and then all of that will inform you when you go forward to engage the people and develop a national plan. So this is a part of getting to know the people and listen to them, and that's the best thing you can do. Go out, visit with them, listen to them, and you come back a more prepared and informed person.
Okay. Um, most people say, and I also came to that point. I prelude to the consequential 2023 is the 2020 senatorial. Correct? Do you believe in that?
I think it will be a very key milestone. I think the way we manage that, absolutely. Because one of the things you always will find is that if you want to develop something jointly, the big one is always the test is always in the first or smaller ones. How you manage the smaller ones, it will demonstrate your ability to work together to plan for the big one. So yes, this is where our focus has been the 2020 elections. As much as we talk about the framework and talk about 2023, the focus is making sure we get 2020 right, find the right candidates, vet them properly, support them, and so that when we come out successfully, it will be easier to go to the Liberian people and say, we told you this is how we do. These are the people we bring in, and so we're looking for you to join us and keep.
Would that be under the banner of the CPP or ANC is carrying out his own vetting? How are you guys going to do? You're going to apportion it. There are 4 groups, 15 senatorial races on Grand Juliet under one retirement, but most of them, the 15, they will be heavily contested. So are you guys going to apportion it, or how the process going to work out?
I don't want to speak ahead of myself for the CPP. I don't have the authority. What I can assure you is that there are discussions, and very soon all of this will be made public. What the plans are, I can't speak to that because I'm not authorized. So
but there are some folks ANC. Fair to say, there are some folks ANC now is will be contesting for some other seat, regardless of the arrangement. Their names will be put forward. How the process
not
going to be
regardless. Or we are part of the CPP, so obviously there has to be an agreement within the organization. We don't intend to allow ourselves to be seen as violators of the terms. I just said we will intend to stick with the agreement. So if we're sticking to the agreement, we can't then go and start doing things outside the agreement. So there will be a process, there will be a final framework, and then the agreement will be spelled out, and then all of that will be announced by the CPP. I can't speak for the CPP. I may have information about some of what's going on, but I'm not privy to, I'm not authorized or able to speak to those things.
You as a consultant providing consultancy, what would be the downsides if this CPP does not in any form or shape survive and there's some sort of breakdown? What would that tell the Liberian people?
I don't think it will break down. Let me start with that. And the reason I say I don't think it will break down, Alfonso, is that with all the back and forth, all the noise, every one of the leaders in this CPP understands the value of the CPP. Everyone. And we've seen this from time and again. If you want to be successful, want to be successful in the next election, is only if you came together, because there are just too many factions, too many small parties. And if you want to contest against CDC, the incumbent, the incumbent always has a great advantage. They have resources, they have almost state power, they have many things at their disposal. So if you want to contest, especially at the higher you go, you have to be ready to bring all the groups together to muscle your way through with the numbers. So that is not lost on the leaders. They are aware of that. So if they are aware of that and they intend to stick to this and want to win, I don't see how the CPP will break down. There will be, like I said, making such wrangling here and there.
So this is a kind of the assurance that we are getting from the Liberian peoples and viewers taking home this event. No matter what it is, you guys going to get to the finish into the marathon, right?
Correct. Yes. Because there's no room for failure. It's just not, the outcome doesn't support failure. The leaders are committed. The other negotiators, the members of the organizations are committed, and it will go through. Yes.
Let's talk on some of the current development. I won't stick you here, but when we have the chance to meet stakeholders, it's good to always have that sort of lengthy discussion. And I hope we're not allowed the 4 years to pass, 4 or 5 years before we can have Mr. Passaway back here again. And I to admit, I want to say thank you for even reaching out. It was at your own volition, your request. Some of these people, when we called in, we should have had this 2 days ago. It couldn't work out, but yes, still tolerance with exercise, and we are here today. And we hope this will not be the last time. And other party leaders be here to Liberia will also follow suit as well.
Sure.
So then I to admit, I want to thank you very much for having this sort of conversations. It's good for our country. Some of these tough questions needs to be asked, not necessarily on these political party owned outlet, but they need to go out of their own comfort zone to give Liberian people the sense of, are we going to see more of the aggressively moving forward as we get to almost this whole political season?
We will be engaging. Other leaders will come out, and you will see some of our other leaders come out on a recurrent basis. So yes, like I said, if we don't get out to tell our story, to let the people know what we're doing, who we are, there's a risk, there's a chance that somebody else will tell your story. And most times when somebody else tells your story, they don't tell it the way it should be told. So we intend to continue to do outreach and let the people know what we're doing, and what we represent. So you will see some other leaders from time to time, and I may come back, but most likely we'll be engaged.
Yeah. Talk to me a little. I know we have talked on a lot of issues here, but we also been here when there are some friends within the ANC, and we often heard, okay, Mr. Cummins, the ANC is doing X, Y, Z in this country. What are some of the engagements of the ANC or Mr. Cummins? Unfortunately, the Liberians electors or the citizen, what has he done? I just do not know the basis of that question. What is something, I don't know what actually they want the person to do, because like one of my own person I contesting for senator, and I say, well, I don't care what I do. It will cost me to spend my 5 years salary. I would do it to win this. Is because people they have adapted this sort of battle system. You got to give me this before I can do this, and that's part of what get us to be where we are. Because if you can't elect competent people, then you want favor, and we know the poverty is part of the factors that get us to be what we are today, for which we make some wrong choices, and we are all feeling the pain down the road. What are some of the things your leader, Mr. Cummins, just to satisfy the curiosity of the Liberian people? They may he not done nothing. He just come in. He want to be president. All of those questions here. Is he doing anything tangible that the people are feeling in concrete, not abstract?
A whole lot. Let me before I answer that, the premise, usually the premise of these questions almost sounds like we will only vote for somebody or elect somebody who has done something for us. Whilst it's good to have people who are benevolent, who are helpful and supportive, I think we need to ask ourselves as Liberians, what is it that we want in a good leader? Not what this person has done for me. And I always remind people that when we're looking for leaders, I don't want my friend. I don't want somebody who I like or somebody who somebody say, oh, the person a good person. I want somebody who has the character, the temperament, and the judgment to be a good leader. Now, the character, is that person a good person? Do they have a terrible record? Have they been involved in war? Have they been involved in stealing people's property? All of that, that character. When you talk about temperament, is that somebody who could get vexed when somebody, when they in a tight situation, somebody says something to them, that they want to attack the person, they don't want to go say have enemy, listen, police in there. The judgment, what kind of decision they make, how do they solve problem, what kind of things they do for the people, how do they exercise the power when they are challenged, that judgment, or what are the things they don't do. So if we look for leaders and stop asking what they have done for me or what they have done, then you will be focusing on the critical things. So having said that, let me tell you, Mr. Cummings has been involved in helping Liberia before he even thought about coming to politics.
What was he doing?
He was chief administrative officer for Coca-Cola Worldwide, and he was able to help bring support supplies to Liberia during Ebola. He was able to put many hundreds of people through school, helping them with schools and different things. He built a STEM school. He and Coca-Cola joined the STEM school. He was able to help different organizations to help give support. There's a long list we started to create because we realized that Mr. Comey would not tell his own story. That's not the kind of person he is. The things he has done, if you have to almost like pry out of him because his mindset, his thinking is he didn't do it for wanting to be recognized for it. He did it because it was something he believes in, it was something good to do. So there's a long list of the things Mr. Comey has
not for
been
political reward.
Not for political reward. Before, when he was still Coca-Cola, the things he did 10, 12, 15 years ago, I remember very vividly that I went to a program, I think 15 years ago. He gave $50,000 to, I think it was CWA. I went to CWA too. So I remember that very vividly. He had no interest in politics at the time. I think we were talking about building the lab or renovating the lab or something. So there are many of those things that he has done. And if we are afraid, when Alfonso, when people see this thing, we need to stop out and ask a question. I don't want somebody who from Cape Town. I don't want somebody who via or my mom from Grand Crew, somebody who crew. I want somebody who's competent. Because when we ask a country, if we keep going the same thing, we're not getting a different result. You want a competent leader. And how do you know one? They have the character, the temperament, the
Do
judgment.
we have one currently within the CPP who also try to run up here? Do we have one competent? That's a specific keyword that you use.
Yeah, well, that's where I would not make the decision or the determination of whether somebody is competent or qualified. Remember I said we ask the people. Remember I said that. I said let the people find out. You ask the people who want to vote, let them ask. Because when you do the survey, it will tell you what the people think. I'll not be the one who would make the person to win, the Liberian people. So when you take the survey, you will see how people stack up. What do people think about us? What do people think about your leaders?
I know time is fast spent here. Talking about this survey here, is it going to be spontaneous across the country, or where would this survey here? Who are those people here? And I'm asking these questions on the basis of you retired, your CPP chair say, well, I think he's got a double down. He doesn't want foreigner to take control, but at the same time he asking people, the United Nations or other people, to come and preside. I haven't seen that. First of all, for a sovereign nation to just easily turn hot electoral process into their hand. Their plans, their strategies, their measures can be put in place. Do you buy into that argument of the CPP chair?
I wouldn't attempt to explain his view or his rationale, his thinking. I would tell you, Alfonso, that the VPS is a standard global process that's done all over the world. It's not rocket science, and it can be done regardless of how backward a place is. Whether you have a highly educated citizenry or partially educated, any way you can do a survey, you develop it, tailor it to execute it. Now, what he's calling for, the idea that if he's suggesting that we want foreigner to come take our election, that's a slight. That's not a true statement. That statement does not have no validity because the VPS is not intended to be used to select the candidate. So that, let's put that aside. That's not correct. The issue of inviting people to come to again, you answer the question yourself. Obviously, there's a need to strengthen the electoral process. There's a need to strengthen the oversight, and a need to strengthen the mechanism, the database, and all of that. I don't know the extent to which he made a statement or what the definition of to take over or to get involved is. But I'll say there is a need for that kind of rigorous enhancement in the processes, the systems, and all of that. And we intend to hold the government feet to the fire to make sure that they don't slack or don't do anything untoward in that respect. So the VPS is normal. It's something that we intend to, and the leaders intend, they agree to put in. It will happen. And the issue of whether or not foreign, they have observers all the time in elections. I don't think that's something new. If there are specific areas, and I think there are, that we want to make sure the database, the voter rolls are all clean and validated, I think that's a valid place to seek input, foreign support to help you strengthen that part. And even the governance of the NEC, the commissioner, all of those things are places we want to make sure. Normally, it would be good to have the political parties participate so that you can have confidence in the process, in the selection of your commissioners, and in the execution of their mandate. So there are a lot of things. There have been ongoing discussions, and their hope is that government will see the logic and the benefit of in bringing the opposition together to be a part of the solution.
Okay. Before we let you go, before you give your last word here, let me use your theory here that says when you are at the top, that's where you make an impactful decision. Where does Mr. Wilfred pass away? If the coalitions were to come to state power tomorrow, where do you see yourself to make a impactful decision?
Nowhere. I'll be right here.
Ministry of Foreign Affairs? You
No,
look like a
no.
diplomat.
My wife. I'm not sure whether she will have another patient with me, but no, I don't intend to. I will work and serve wherever I'm asked to, but I will be
What are your
dragged and
preference?
pulled to. I don't see, Alfonso. I'm not interested in government job. I'm not interested. I don't have any interest in that. I want to be able to do the things I want to do freely. If your boss insists that he needs you somewhere, I can't pretend that I will tell him no. But
Okay.
I don't have any particular interest in that.
All right, well, folks, that does it this evening in an exclusive. We're going to be having a post-interview reaction. We've been speaking with Mr. Wilfred Passaway, is the global chair of the Alternative National Congress, one of the opposition team from Liberia. On the line here this evening via video theater in the USA. Mr. Passaway, we want to thank you so much for taking off your time for us to have this sort of honest conversations. I honestly believe that there was some insane question about your tolerance to have this sort of conversation. I hope some of the other, be it governments and other opposition folks, they will also come here for us to have this conversation. Perhaps maybe there's something special you which we will have touched on and we just didn't reach that, not on purpose here. Can you speak to that, and what would be your final departing word?
No, I would just say that our political discourse can be better than people squabbling and insulting. Now, some people don't know how to stop that. That's part of who they are. They're very passionate about what they do. But it would be helpful if we can tune it down a little bit because the examples we set the examples for the younger generation, the people in Liberia who can benefit if we take down this macho tough guy image and focus on the issues, on the ideas. That would be something I would leave. I like people to take away and say, let's have a conversation. And even if we disagree, let it be amicably and respectfully and not go to bat. I don't go in that space.
Okay, well, Mr. Power, Passaway, thank you so much, and I hope to have you again at some point in time.
Thank you so much, Alfonso. Have a great evening.
All right. Okay, well, folks, that does it. I'm Alfonso Z and so in an exclusive with Mr. Wilfred Passaway of the Alternative National Congress. That's the global chairperson here. We're going to be having a post interview reaction right here right now until we get a caller on the line from 917 number 7688. Caller, good evening.
Hello, my name is Kato Jala Balayan, calling from New York.
Okay, all right, hold on one second. Let me just make sure. Okay, Koto, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, I assume you have followed the conversation here with Mr. Passaway of the Alternative National Congress. What was your takeaway?
Yeah, I want to thank you so much for bringing me on this program and allowing me to speak at this time. And I want to also thank your invitees on Mr. Passaway. And something, that he was saying that struck me. What he said was, and I've been an advocate for democratic state and a democratic being played in a democratic state. Looking at it vividly, and I saw what he said, quality in leaders. And some of the qualities that I really see that's supposed to be displayed by these leaders is that, like, that is what they call thick skin. I don't know how we describe it because our own Liberia way is thick skin. Because I see on the ANC, maybe some political parties are doing it, but on the CPP, actually, I'm saying, and which is not right, that people get reactive to describing their candidates, which is not very good because to be a leader, you have to be submissive. You have to have this thick skin that things cannot easily move you. When these people come, you have to see those qualities in you as a leader because you have to be, what do you call? You have to be like submit yourself to the people, and then they see that quality in you as you being like serving as a servant, not the people serving you. But if you come there, they say something about your leader, you become aggressive, you become insulting, then how do you win other people over? But I admire so much of Pastor Way the way he spoke, and he seemed not to be one of those that reactive, really. I don't know, I could be so right there, but I have not seen on Facebook to see him reacting to people, response towards his parliament or his head of his party. And this is what we want to see. I'm here talking about equality. I talk on democracy and vote. Those are the qualities we want to see in the leader. Not just saying this man is my tribal man. Not just saying this man is my friend or this man is my schoolmate. We want to see people coming to the bar to invite people who has those qualities that we can assume as the quality, the right quality in a leader. You have to be submissive. You're not coming there for people to serve you, but you come to serve the people. And in that doing, that quality is there that we will see. It's not coming to say I have money and I have the overthink, or I have property, or I have done this. I'm the most handsome man, and I'm the most talkative man. We want to see wisdom. We want to see submissiveness. We want to see quality, good quality. We want to see respect in there that we will be in life. So these are the qualities I want people to look at. Not just saying because I'm member of this party. If my party, I'm member of this party, my party not bringing a quality candidate, I will go and vote for another candidate. I always willing to set an example, like I always call an example in when I'm speaking on this level. During the 2011 election, I was supported, let's say, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf in the UPP, and then I supported the late journalist on the CBC. And that is how we should not just say because this person is my friend or this party is the party I'm affiliated with. That's why I don't want to be tied to a party that will submit me to be submissive to them, that whatever they say I should done, by myself, because I'm looking for the quality in a person. And I so much appreciate him for the clarity he made. He might be saying in public for his party or his leader, but I think I saw something in it that I benefited from it, and also in my teaching that we elect people that are qualified, we elect people that are submissive, we elect people that are, like say immediate and like to down to earth, as we put it in our Liberian way. Those are the qualities I very much in a candidate. So I want to say thank you so much for your time.
Okay, so yeah, before you how you call this leave here too. What are your concerns? What are your concerns with respect to what is unfolding within the opposition to CPP and all of that?
My concern is people are
Do you
not
do you
willing to
see
be
them
serious.
do you see them holding on to world? Do you think so?
I think that people are not being selfless to the position. Everybody want to act like I am the boss. I should be the one if I am not nobody else. And they should do away with that. If we are in a group and we come to a consensus that XYZ, for example, Mr. Zion, we have agreed that Mr. Zion be the head, and like let's support Mr. Zion and he goes forward. Instead of saying, oh, my candidate, I wanted to put forward, and my candidate is not appreciated, and I will not cooperate with the organization. That's not how it should be. We support whoever. And for that, DPS, I see no reason, because what happened is we already hearing what I'm hearing now is that the election commission does not even have money to whole election as it might expect. And then we come here to say going to spend money on VPS. That money to spend on VPS, why don't we take it if we have money to contribute towards election? Because we have the technology now is going wild. You could put a pool. That could be easy. You put a pool,
So
and you could see.
you are strong. Are you a strong fan of the VPS?
I'm not a fan of it. Actually, I see no good reason, of concentrating on this VPS. Actually, I know a VPS or VSP, something like that. But I'm not a fan of that. I really do not.
Yeah, you don't believe?
Because we have technology working. Just put up a pool if you think you want to do that. Put up a pool. You will see people's views and thoughts coming out, and teaching coming out. Instead of going VPS, I do VPS. We have been, primary.
So if you are before I go to
Yeah,
before I go to the next caller yet, what is the best way possible you think that will settle the dust? Anything in mind?
Go to the primary.
The four political parties they should go individually and have the because and one of the things that they didn't ask you, I don't know what is the membership, whether these parties they have a specific membership or what is it. I mean to have the primary and whoever comes as a winner becomes maybe out of the four the hair who comes first you go on the top, and who comes second you go as number two. Is that how you see it?
Exactly. That's how I try to do it, because every party is equally any representative. And these representatives, they should be fair enough to decide for themselves.
Okay.
Because we are doing it for the common good. If you say you're going to put out VPS, I see no sense in that. Use technology and you will get that result that you want to get.
All right.
That's why I think that will help a lot. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let me go to the next person. Let me go to the next person here to make sure to get the authority. Caller, are you there? Caller, are you there?
Is it me?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it 2-8? Oh, okay, yeah. How you doing, Mr. So?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, hanging in there.
Okay, go ahead. Let me just bring this person.
Oh, thank you for the interview. I follow you. And thank you, Mr. Pastor, for coming on.
Okay.
I mean, you spoke about a wide range of issues. But one of the things that there are several issues I want to touch on. One is that I heard him consistent saying that they can police everybody or control everybody when they come to memo response to things and how to go about. Well, I have a little problem because some of these people will come to say these things. They are in the rank of the ANC. And I have a problem with that. If they're just ordinary person out there, fine. But when you are in the far and rank of the organization, and you come out to make statement to say, well, I'm speaking on behalf of myself, it doesn't cut it. Because people identify you as being an official or close to the leadership. So everything you say that has a good or bad, it has a reflection on your organization. They will not talk to you, they will not judge you as an individual, they will judge you or link you to the organization. Yes.
So
all these people
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, all these people who hold or who are close to the leadership, if issue come up, I think they should have
somebody
an
line,
executive meeting.
somebody please mute your phone. Somebody else on the phone. Somebody else is on the phone, please.
Okay, I think it's okay. I think these people should not go on their own and start reacting or attacking other people who say something about the leader. Let it have a meeting and say, look, this is our position. So this person, we're choosing to go and speak on behalf of us. That way, you have some control while you're messaging. But because someone called the ANC leader name or insulted him, then you have other people come out, oh, that's my party leader. You cannot say that will come this way. And they are key members within the organization. It doesn't, for me, it doesn't occur well for them. So at least you should have people, even in America, you should have someone who.
So
issue when they come
you seem to side with me when I was asking him the question to where the president went at a function. He said, I'm not here as a president today. I came to make force. So he wants to take out the government of the presidency and to do something on the contrary. That's been a little bit something. So so then what's the takeaway from this interview?
I mean, he made some. I mean, he explained policies and where they think they're going. Which of course, most of the things he said he was okay. But what I'm saying is that they should go one step forward.
Somebody is listening to us. Please, please lower your. Somebody else is on the. Hold on, call out. Only 3% here. 9175088. Please mute your phone if you are listening.
Okay.
Yeah, just mute your. Not mute. Just lower the monitor. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So they should have these people to speak on their behalf, but not everybody all over the places.
I'm still getting that. Then I will have to turn everybody off and just keep only the caller there because it's kind of like I'm getting your.
Okay, I think I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Just load the monitor or you mute your phone. I will call you. Okay. Go ahead, Pa Joy.
Yeah. So they should have somebody to speak on a global issue or on ANC's behalf in America. Because when everybody coming up and people who coming on, you see them close to the executive, close to the leadership. They can come out and say, look, I'm speaking in my private capacity. Even if you're doing so, people will still link you to the organization. Like what the president said, I'm here in my private capacity. No. The president worked 24 hours. He was there, but he was using government car. He had government security. So how can you say that you're there as president in your party? If I say it doesn't work like that. Now the next issue I want to touch on is the voter survey. This voter survey, I don't know what the big noise is all about. I think it's just a focal group. It's not constitutional. It's not binding. The result is not binding on any political party. They just to give them some insight about how the voter thinking. That's all about. It's happening in America every day. Places, people, even businesses, people want to do something. They do focus group to see how the people feel, how the people thinking. So this thing is not constitutional. And then you have one of the political leaders talking out of content to say, oh, foreigners are coming to tell us what to do. But then, if you're saying that, okay, for the argument, say, okay, you say foreigners coming, but then why you don't ask United States, United Nations to send foreign observers to your country to observe the election? And if they say the election free and fair, you abide by it. When they say it's not free and fair, you accept it. So then, who are the foreigners now? So you see that people undercut their own statement. They just undercut what they're talking about. The sampling of the people's view is not a binding decision and on a political party. It was just to get the thinking of the electorate, how they're thinking. Who can do this? Who can do this? All.
Okay.
And
So, Pa George.
Yeah,
Pa George. Yeah, hold on,
Yeah.
Mr. George. Edmund George is our analyst here at the Liberia Popular Radio. I will be asking you as to whether this union or proposed union will hold, but just hold your peace. Let me bring in the 508 number 4108. Caller, good evening. What's your name and where you calling from?
Yes, my name is Charles Yama. I'm calling from Worcester, Massachusetts.
Okay, Mr. Yamant, my next door neighbor here from from the Bay State. Okay, thank you for being part of this conversation here this evening. It's all about Liberia, but politics is also involved. Did you have a chance to listen to Mr. Passaway?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you heard what George was saying. Then there were some really key issues that we touched on the survival of the CPP, saying all of the sound bites, the back and forth, reacting to press conference and making statements, undercutting the discussion why it's going off, and people have become more definitive as to what they're going to do. What are your concerns?
Yeah, there are a couple of concerns they talk about that are very interesting. And one of the issues he raised that is very salient is that, look, managing information is a very sticky issue. The CPP has not yet defined their medium of communication or their medium of getting their information out to the public. It's still left with the individual organizations. So, but still, while in that process,
Who the individual we are talking about?
no, when I mean, say for instance, it's left with the individual organizations that are part of the CPP, right? There's a reason why we're getting split of interpretation or split of opinion on what is emerging from the CPP perspective. Because
So, in
there isn't a
essence, and not to
defined-
cut you, in essence, they are not having a sort of coherent message. One person talk, another person feels they under their skin and they want to react to it instead of speaking as a unified team. Is that what we're talking about?
that one, you see, that one reason because you try to set a basics for their argument. When you ask the question about the president going to say he killed a Mayflower, he's not here as president of the Republic of Liberia, so blah blah blah. But here's the case: you just cannot have everybody speaking for an institution, even in a government.
Right.
You don't expect because I'm deputy minister of public work, I'm close to authority to speak for the government of Liberia when something comes up. No, that's why the government have the Ministry of Information. They got the Minister of Information. So what's supposed to be propagated out there, it doesn't go through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, go through the Ministry of Finance. No, it goes through the Ministry of Information. So the guy is absolutely right. Pastor Way is absolutely right when he came and said, I cannot speak for the CPP. I can speak for myself, and there are information that I'm privileged to have gotten. I just can't give it out in this public those are the way people conduct businesses of organization. Until you are vetted and find to be you are the proper person to give our information before you can do that. So for now, CPP does not have the defined medium as to how they're going to put out their information. So individual organizations and members attached to the organization come up with their own personal opinion. Let me be more specific. This VSP thing, I can tell you, right? Henry Costa is a friend of mine. I love him. He's my friend, my little brother. But the way he blew it out of proportion, it didn't make no sense.
To be honest with you, Mr. Newman, I know you follow him a lot. There was he had a sort of talking point prior to Banana Euro's conference that I found very troubling, and all of the things that he was talking about, those were the soundbite, those were the things Mr. Euro was talking about.
Well, again, if yes, even if it's a coincidence where the both of them spoke on the same issue, but the point here is VSP is something common. Why people blow it out of proportion? That the guy said it's an opinion pool. Why wouldn't we want our electorate to know
who's likable?
What they think? Yeah, what their mindset, what they're thinking about, who they think is fit for this, what their opinion is. So those are common things. It's not something to blow it out of proportion. Like, oh, VSP mean you decide who be president of the CPP. That's absolutely erroneous. And you know, I knew when you were driving out, it really didn't make no sense. So until we will continue to have these kind of bits and pieces of clashes around until CPP can actually define their means of putting out communication. And some of the issues you talked about also was that, like those kids you showed, they were talking about
they're talking about comments that they are made wrong decisions and blah blah blah.
Kind of thing. Right. And again, Pastor, we're absolutely right. Look, I'm not these people partisan. I'm not a partisan person, but some of the things you spoke about, especially with respect to that, we're right. We see these things. I've been around political things for a long time in Liberia. We see it. For me, again, let me tell you my point. I used to be a member of the Free Thinker Student Association from the University of Liberia. So we see these things. People manufacture these groups all around, you know, for political gain. They go around and just make statements. Even newspapers, organizations are formed based on political opinion about certain political individuals. We know that. You see certain newspapers publishing things about certain issues or certain people and all on and on and on. It's all based on political motives and interests of those, their godfather and other things. So we shouldn't be moved by what the speaker was saying, because they will always be there. There will be numerous of them being around.
Should we be concerned though? Can they cause damage? Can they cause damage to a political institution? These are people they are being.
I absolutely agree. I can't tell you it will not or it will. It could or it could not. But it's just like you live in a community and you say, "Oh, I don't want nobody to cross me." People will cross you in any case.
Yeah, I get what you do. They will cross you, right?
Yeah, yeah. Whether the bad thing to say against you will damage your character or not, nobody dares to sit to take a measurement, and you understand. But it might be possible. So these are things that happen in political atmosphere. All those things will come about. So we shouldn't be surprised. Believe me, in the 9 minutes of time, I mean, maybe in the 90 minutes time, you'll find another group will come out, or you for the support of George Weah, and make all sort of crazy statements. So, hey, yes, it might have an implication on George Weah, but George Weah cannot control it. It will happen to Benana. It will happen to Nombi Kanga. It will happen to whoever. So these things happen. But again, that's the society we find ourselves in. And you know, it's polarized. Even here, even as sophisticated as the United States is, look at the political climate over here. Look at some of the papers, who they endorse, who they don't endorse, what they say against every political individual. And you know, so, I mean, what is worrisome is that, again, I spoke about the same thing. Well, it's about the CPP putting their act together. I know it's a problem. It takes time because you're getting different group of people to get together. But there's too much internal wrangling and fighting over petty things, and
what does that suggest to you, when you see this happening here, and people are saying, okay, the CDC government is not doing X, Y, and Z, and you are moving in the same directions as people are taking it to be? What does that tell the people?
I said these guys are making us to be kind of worrisome, because if they continue to be bickering and fussing among themselves like George Weah, so if you get George Weah the upper hand to say, you know what? Most of I was just saying, well, just stay with George Weah, because he had the people who trying to be with, they hear fussing and bickering among themselves. They can't even put their act together. By the time they settle down, will be left out. Will be worse off. So we must not just stay with George Weah and be with George.
To be with the injured, I know, then the devil will have nothing, right? That's a good theory.
Because it's just simple thing for the guys to do, and everything would cost the government, would cost the government operational, how they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. The guy, they're putting their mouth and all that kind of thing. And you guys got an organization, you can put it together, you can work together. I mean, what's wrong if somebody say they want to be president? Is that a crime? I'm not telling I want to be president. You want to be head of the CPP. I know Mr. whoever from ANC wants to be. I know maybe Yombi Kanga. I know UP wants to be. So what's wrong with it? So if there's no alternative position for that person, so what?
I think when people, besides the CPP, even in our own real world, until when people can accept people's opinions and views are not facts. That's how he or she feels about himself or herself. But people don't want people to speak. People want to suppress other people, man. Hold on one second, Mr. Newman. I get a new face here. Maybe he or she going to put an end to this discussion here. 978 number 6173. Good evening, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
Good evening, Alfonso. This is Sam Jackson calling from Massachusetts.
Mr. Jackson, man, my next neighbor here, they're on fire here this evening. Okay, so don't form coalition with my man next to me here to Worcester. I profess that you're in Rhode Island with me here, and you just here for the night here. Look, but talk to me. Yeah, talk to me here. You listen to Mr. Passaway?
Yeah, I partially listened to some of his, his comments, really.
Okay, nice to do it to all of what you're saying here, but what are your concerns just based on the little that you heard and what is unfolding in your own country?
Okay, one of those things that really, I wanted to respond to before anything is the question that is looming around that have to do with why it is that you want to be president, you don't want to take any other position, And I felt that journalists shouldn't be asking that question because they know better than what And I don't want us to be feeding into the paws of the little guys. Because Alfonso, who owned or who was the head of the radio station, he can say, no, I don't want to be here. I want to be the sweeper. I have not seen anyone who worked hard for things, who make decisions, will say, I don't want to be the leader, or I want to be the floor man. The reason people want leadership is, as you were saying, is to make an impact and difference in the lives of people. And that means to do that is you make policy that will affect people. You being able, to hold people responsible. You're able to hold people, you're able to delegate responsibility. And you reward, and hold people accountable for what they do. When leadership achieve, the credit go to the leader. When they default, and they are discredited for all the activities that they do.
Right.
So if Alexander Comey is saying that the only way I can be impacted is I want to be the head, I think we should accomplish him for that, because what happened is from where he came from, I don't think it's wrong for somebody to have an ambition, say, my aim is I want to be the president. And you understand? In as much as if he had not made the drive, then we'll say the guy is making a form. But if you have followed the trend of things that is going on, there's no need to discredit, because if you look at all those people who are before him, you talk about the Boyka, you talk about the George Oponwia. How many times he waited? 12 years. So then why is the question now? Why we never ask George?
So you see this time, I listened to like Mr. Yuri, and which side some of my colleagues did not make a follow-up. So, sometimes it's good to ask this sort of insane question. You say, oh, I want to be because I want to help my people. That's a vague, that's a very broad. Why way you want to help? You don't have to be a leader to help your people. So sometimes we want to see the leadership strength. We want to see the leadership side, the compassion, the authenticity they are bringing to the table.
They bring it to the table. If you look at, the AMC, I'm not a member, but I watch some of the stories some of the things that they do in the interland. They are doing a great job. So why make you to feel that this guy?
Well, they have to tell us this narrative, and that's one of the reasons of sometimes facing these news outlets. Don't always make us be selective to say, okay, well, maybe this person here they don't talk good about me, or this person when I go there I will be mistreated, and you have to tell us, you have to tell the people, and then when you tell the story, it will be able to go, because it's very hard for you yourself to tell the story. Somebody can tell it, it can be validated, they make it more genuine.
Okay, and one of the things that you asked, that brought about, today I just came, not as a president, but I came, and as an ordinary person, and you understand. And then we were trying to apply that, to Mr. Passaway, something is in leadership. The leader should be the last person to talk, and when the leader talk, they should have been able to make an impact in the life of people. In other words, people. He more have feeling advice from people what to say. Now, if I come on now to say I'm speaking on behalf of, the CPP, what am I to say? They have a leadership structure. They must be able to set up their communication, apparatus, as to say who should speak. And when that person speaks with the spokesperson, then at least the leader can summarize it. But you as a leader, you cannot put all the sound bite that you people have into, and you're making your own judgment as to who should be leader in terms of the person have more experience, more than this, he is more educated than this. That sounds so childish to me.
So then you agree with my talking point the last time before I bring in Pa George, and I'm not sure whether Koto is here. And I kind of frown on that. That was kind of bizarre. Benena Ure is the head of the CPP, right? And he perfectly said that negotiations, conversations is still ongoing.
Yes.
In the absence of being conclusive in that the dialogue, because we know there are four groups come together. It's not easy to come to a point to solidify their position. But he came out and said, I will never do it. So that undercuts the purpose of the whole thing, because you should be making a final decision after all of the groups have arrived at the understanding. He didn't do that.
I said, Zion. Let me just come into that part. I listened to you too on that issue, which was very not fair. It was unfair to the ANC leader, because if we decide to come together as a unit and we're working on the process, we should be open and we should be able to be very, very mindful of what we ought to are.
Exactly.
Because if you say, oh, only the woman you want because he well experienced, you already start taking side in the thing here. We should be very objective.
There's no neutrality in it. Exactly.
We should outline who have the basic qualification to be our leader.
They know why he said to add insult to injury the man Coca-Cola, make it like somebody who gets sour belly and they want to drink Coke so the air will come out. Come on, Benena Ure. I mean, that was a very ridiculous statement on his part.
See, I didn't hear that part. I didn't hear the other part.
Oh, you didn't hear see? You didn't hear him say the man that only Coca-Cola, even though he was with Coca-Cola, you didn't hear that? I got a video here, I can play it.
No, that wasn't nice if he said that. That wasn't nice. That wasn't nice.
That's what he said.
No, they said a lot about it.
His descriptions, I come in here, Koto. His descriptions I come in 1 second. Hold on 1 second, yeah. His description towards Ambassador Boyka, right? It was well elevated, all right?
Yes.
And his description towards Mr. Cummings, it was degrading. That's not as a leader of the group. That's not the message. And this is where this leadership thing comes from. It comes with tolerant responsibility And sometimes, even when you're facing the media, you got to learn how to pivot. They will ask you some silly question. Their job is to ask you the question. But if you think that because you're a politician or you want to be a bold person, you're going to get yourself into trouble every or any other day, I'm telling you, because we ask you upside down question and you will...
I think Bernard you know he cannot be, so he's trying to drag people down with him in the mud.
Everybody going to go down there. Everybody.
And they're going to eat the fire way for the woman. Honestly, between us here, no way Bernard you can be chairperson or stand-up for the CPP. Bernard does not have the requisite stuff we're talking about.
Well, so I don't want to dismiss it.
No. I mean, I'm telling you honestly, from my own perspective, Bernard you cannot be the stand-up bearer of CPP. He cannot. I mean,
look,
Bernard you cannot win elections in Liberia.
Let me incite myself into this whole thing now. I come to Koto. And I said this over and over consistently. One of the reasons for which Bernard Yure is in this thing here is to protect his wealth. He will become more protective as a opposition and as a factor. He cannot win, go up countdown. Bernard Yure cannot win election in Liberia. I'm not even sure whether he can win a senatorial or representative. But the concept of our people, once Bernard Yure continues to remain within the political domain of Liberia, whether he does it the wrong way, the right way, and even when government tries to go after him, the ordinary person out there, the government is trying to wish on the opposition. He just there to protect his wealth. He just won't be part of the process. Bernard Yure know with himself he can't win anything. So I mean it is where it is. Koto, am I sounding crazy here this evening?
Very, very, very far in your decision, but I really have problems. Let me.
I love that.
Politics is interest. Okay? Politics is interest, and that's what people don't know. I could say what I want to say to protect my candidate, and that's why I say let the people talk, because from their talking, then we know who we can put in as the head. People keep saying, I put somebody say something and no, it isn't that for me. I like the talking because as they are talking,
you can't just talk to now. You gotta talk with something.
Yeah, I know who is talking with substance. I know who is the leadership, the quality, who has the leadership quality, and who does not have. So let him talk. This is what politics is all about. People have to win other people over. And if you don't know how to win anybody over and you think it's
Koto,
that would damage the CPP.
Koto, the talking we are talking about, your talking must be conciliatory. Your talking should unify. You and I can be in a discussion here and I start, talking to the extent that, being disrespectful to you, then how do you think that's...
You saw the decision you came up with. That's not a statement that Yure is making.
I'm just telling you honest. I'm not in a discussion, but I'm just telling you honest. I have followed Yure. I have interviewed Yure.
Because when they finish talking, we will want to like who we want. Then we promote our person. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but talking, when you talking,
the CPP, they are not. They are rather strengthening the CPP. So think on who can put there.
Okay, but in your analysis or in your logic is that they should talk. We see, okay, let them talk. But the way the man talking, we have already reached that point to say, you know what, the man already know that he can't win, so he's dragging people down with him in the mud.
Right there, you know who he is already. So from there, our decision will come. That's why I said let's go to the conference and we go there. Then we decide who is there. But
look, first of all of these oppositions they are. Yeah, let me come before I
for dinner to eat, and then they say, "Oh, my man, you hand daddy go. We anybody with daddy hand will not easy, but my man hand one daddy, the other one hand daddy. Talk what you said, and you understand. Propagate yourself, sell yourself out. If Bernard Yure will focus on himself as to how he think he can upgrade or change or better the people's life in Liberia will be much better. They're trying to degrade another person of his peers in the same group. I mean, he shouldn't be doing that. Nowhere in a logical sense. You're in a committee.
To be a leader, you got to be selfless. And we have to see that characteristic in those that are vying.
The guy.
But you can't
Okay.
say
Before I go to.
shut up and you see that that characteristic is there. No, they have to talk.
Before I go to Zina here, right?
People say, point the CPP, point this. Let the people talk.
I didn't conclude my statement really.
Yeah, okay, no, yeah, okay, no, you might, yeah, go and conclude your statement. Yeah, you know, we're not stopping people from talking, but go ahead, caller, then I'll bring in Zina here, then we're going to be wrapping up very shortly.
It's the same, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
What I wanted to talk about, when he made that comment, the CPP have a structure, and I expected, the person who they try, to excel. And I wanted for him to play that leadership role that the woman worker, to have a meeting and come next to say that whatever John Brown, Peter Paul say, it's not a position of CPP that an individual position. As far as we're concerned, we want the public, to not to consider it a CPP position. Then in that position now, from what he said, I can use it as a CPP position, and that the leadership of the CPP is still weak. It's being dictated by Penala Euro and Henry Costa. CPP need to come and stand up and to the tax now. Or as for me, I would not want to take a government that will be dictated by outsiders to tell them what to do. So if Omen Boyka want to, he had to play that leadership role as an error in the group. You can't be silent and you think that you are the best candidate. That's not what leadership calls for. If you listen to what Trump is saying, he is saying things that feed in the pulse of the typical white man, and he doesn't care. So if you want to be a leader, say something that would inclusive. You can't say that because somebody want to side with you is damaging the CDP, the CPP, and they were asking.
And you're right. You're absolutely right.
Look, let me just ingest into this conversation. Benina Yure is the prime of the CPP.
How?
You get it?
How?
Benina Yure is the problem. For some reason, I don't know what is it, envy or jealousy between Benina Yure against Ellis Comey. Why United Party? Why the other party, the other two parties cannot attack Commies? Because only Benina Yure. This is not Benina Yure's first time. The first time he started, he went directly after Commies, attacking him. I think it was on social media, and everybody came out to tell him you were wrong. This is the second time he did it. And listen, what Benina Yure says is what Costa says. What Costa says is what Benina Yure says. I think yesterday or today, Costa will say, Benina Yure is my political leader. I respect him. I disagree on some point. He goes on to say, when you talk to Omen Boakai, the way Boakai have feeling for the Liberian people, the Omen can talk all along. Those are the two people he will mention. He will not mention Alexander Cummings. That is, and he said it, that people who undermine him during the December protest, he will not support that person for the position of president. Those are Costa working today or yesterday. So you can see where Benina Yure and Costa are driving. For me, I call it as Benina Yure is the problem of the CPP. He is the one. If that organization go down, Benina Yure will be responsible. People have to call it as it is. For me, that just I look at it because every statement Benina, he's the only person. Every time they go to meeting, he's the only person who come up with something to attack Cummings. Now, look what he said. The leadership should also rotate 6 months or so. Benina Yure doesn't want to give the leadership to Cummings. Why? Why? Then you say that you love the Liberian people. It's a lip service. And we have to call it as it is, my people. Benina Yure is the part of the CPP. Look, let's call it as it is. Why the United Party don't talk? Why the Liberal Party don't attack?
You see, so Pa George, let me intercept here a little. Let me intercept here. Let me hold on 1 second. Hold on. Let us not talk across the board here. Yeah, so the board.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you are coming. Yeah, that's okay. Let me something here. We frown on the ruling governments of a lot of mistakes and stuff, but when it happens within the opposition, nobody wants to talk about it, and nobody even get a guts to even tell their own peers what you are doing is wrong. This guy conference validated all of CDC talking point. He went on to say that George Weah won the last election. He was cheated and he never wanted to be a part of it.
Fine.
But he facilitated a conversation by placing a phone call because George Weah and his son, they were listening to him. What was he saying? So then you will leave from there. I can't tell CD you a time. He said, okay, all the thing motorso. Joy, we are all the whole thing here, Helen that one that get it thing over to Joy. Then you will move from there, you will leave from there as the opposition. You will say you want to blame CDC of all of the failure. I don't get what he was saying.
No.
Unbelievable.
Mr. So this is why I said the other day that the press conference that you had was a dismal performance by him. You know where he went? But Mr. So you know me. It was the decimal performance. Look at what he said. That there is not security issue.
Yeah, exactly.
There is not national security issue. Then he went back. He went back to say it was Ellen. It's time for Ellen. Can you imagine? What Beninayo was thinking? So that's why, look, I just called it. So the whole thing that Beninayo is the prime for this whole collaboration. He is the prime. He will be the obstacle.
You were high. You probably were high. He smoked something.
Well,
okay. No. I now so say you're here. We didn't go to. Can't go there. Let us be decent in our conversation here. Yeah. Okay, guys. This is what I'm going to do. Hold on 1 second. I think I'm already out of time. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold on 1 second. One person have not spoken yet. Hold on. Okay, yeah. One person have not spoken. Zina, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, boss. I'm here listening.
Okay, yeah. Try and come in, and then I'll be going to everybody to be making their final comments. We're going to pick up this here maybe tomorrow morning to see where it goes and look at other news with this whole rubber fee, blah, blah. But make your point here, then I will go back to the various numbers here to make their final argument.
Yeah, my point is I'm not good at listening and to talk, so I've just been listening.
No, okay.
But my input would be, I think some of the questions we're asking, honestly, I think some of the questions are kind of a little premature to me. Like the aspect of you not being able to win Judge Weah or even Wakai and so forth. And my issue with that is that it is too early to decide who wins Judge Weah or not. Because who will win Judge Weah the next election is solely dependent on what we are do from now to the next election. You can even put commies against George Weah. You can find the best opposition against George Weah next election. If George Weah does well from now to then, nobody gonna win him.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter who goes against him.
Anything
no
can happen.
What George Weah do. So people saying that you can win George Weah. George Weah has the advantage to maintain for the next election if he does well. And if you do wrong, you will mess your school resonate with the people. Because people get frustrated when leaders are not doing the right thing. So when people get frustrated, they go with anybody that think that they think
and then
just that we are king of power. Because people that we anticipated to do well were doing absolutely on the contrary. That's how motivated we are to come for president. And people start listening to Joe Weah. So just that he's doing things on the contrary, that could lead to even UA or someone worse than UA to go to office. I don't know the premise under which these guys emerged as a party, but it will be my pleasure to work with UA, or not UA, but they do commies in the future. How are they planning to elect who's going to go as a senior bearer? Because that's very paramount. That's a very key thing. And then just real quick, the issue that people getting mad at what Benalius said to they do commies. I don't see anything wrong with that. Leaders go ahead. If you put yourself under the mantle of being the leader, it's not something to worry about you being criticized, you being talked against. Donald Trump, his own colleagues, not even people in the Democrats, his own colleagues call him a moron, call him the biggest idiot ever on TV. So I don't think you're castigating communists or anything. You got to put himself in the forefront, and he got to play the best way he can. So I don't think insults should be. It shouldn't be that really insults should be the way to go forward. But those are minor things that people don't look at.
Okay.
So we cannot base our decision on you really insults on commies, because in the greatest country in the world, we find Donald Trump close colleague calling an idiot, or Mitt Romney just did. Even when a close colleague vote against him.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't. Yeah, we got to start opening our eyes to people that are doing well, to try to imitate what they do, so that we can do well too. So the issue with these guys, I don't know how they deciding to come out with sooner better. I don't know if you guys, any of you guys get idea, so that I can learn from
Well,
them. So I don't know if they're
unfortunately,
gonna vote or
believe
what.
me or not, the history of it, we're going to do some forensic to know how it, before we can get a result. But we are hoping. But that's the good thing about this network. We always accept views and opinion to express here in a very civic manner. So, guys, I'm going to be going through the 9 lines, and I make your 1 minute closing remark. I'm extremely out of time here. 917 number 7688. Koto, are you there? Koto, are you there? 917 7688. Koto, are you there? All right. Airplane can blow home, and when you're gone for good. Okay. 508 number 4108.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
1 minute.
so
What's your final message here for our country, the listening audience, and for the betterment of Liberia?
my final message here is that look, if you say you want to be an advocate, you want to advocate for the right, the injustices and other things, and you're fighting for the Liberian people, you got to be fair. You can't be fair or you can't be one-sided. Take for instance, I come back to the CPP. If people in the CPP are advocating for fair things to be done for the Liberian people, holding the government foot to acting appropriate and being fair, they should be fair too. Look, if the CPP that constitute UP, ANC, ANC, and the other party are, do have individuals in there that are professing to be nice and good people for Liberia. Take for instance Mo Ali. He behind this advocacy thing and talking about the right thing for Liberia. Why are they now looking at the CPP when things are bad in the country? You know what? The thing is bad. Let us address the thing. This is bad. This is the wrong way to go about. We think CPP must be doing this. We're not hearing nobody talking. We're only hearing individuals coming to put out their own opinions. Why can't they address the thing together so that we can be able to move the CPP stalemate from one stage to another? Why is Bernard Ure chairman for CPP for life? Why? Can I ask him? Why can he not rotate the chairmanship of the CPP? Is it hard to ask questions, or is more Ali cannot see all those things happening? The rest of the other guys in the CPP, are they not asking these questions? The guys from ANC, why they not asking Bernard Ure? What's going on? So until we really start asking the critical questions and getting answers, we still face problems as an opposition to be able to effect change in the larger society. That's my concern.
All right. Thank you so much for your analysis. Thank you so much. Okay, so 978 number 6173. You want your last comment?
Well, my comment is I have a different view about how people see the team. If you have a team and you are the team leader, your purpose is to see how best you can build a team, to solicit ideas, to get views from other people to see how best we can strengthen the team. That a leader is somebody who can make a point across, but they can be condescending to demean and degrade, a member of the team. That team will not hold. So the comparison that because in the people degrade Donald Trump, they and Donald Trump are not, even though they are in the Republican Party, but they are not on the same page. So Joe Romney and Donald Trump, they don't get along. I can tell you the fact. He will never want to pick him as foreign, as Secretary of State. So that's no comparison. So what I'm talking about is if the leaders, if they want to build CPP, they now need to get a communication network and they can speak in one voice through that medium. And you understand? Rather than having, somebody who come and tear the other people apart. It will degrade, it will put the CPP down, they will lose vote, and people will not be attracted to them. I just want to tell you that. That's my advice.
All right. Thank you very much, folks, for keeping within the confines of the time allotted. That's the good thing I like about my folks here at LPR. Mr. Raymond George, our analyst, want to wrap it up. Zinat, what's your final comment?
Yeah, my final comment is I just hope the process under which they will select or elect their Senate bearer, it be the process that makes sense. And I don't know if they're gonna go through like votes, like the way the Democrats do it here, where they go, you know how to do it here, and then they go from vote to vote to solicit views. Because I don't think the art of having the standard bearer should be based on the vote among them. It should be based on the masses, like the people in those districts, in your constituency, like how Democrats go to them. If they're trying to emulate how America doing it, because so who are there to merge? But then coming with a vote among them, anybody who has a favorite appeal to those in their sector will be the standard bearer. What happens if that person doesn't appeal to the Liberian people? So it shouldn't be. I don't know if they're really thinking. It shouldn't be among them. You seen the logic in here?
Right.
It shouldn't be among them that they just go decide who votes. It should be by the call of the Liberian people to see, see people emerge. But we Liberian, we think that we can put Dana UA or whoever it is, to run against you. We are the person who win. Instead of they come here with UA or Baka or even Commies. Or I mean, if the person doesn't do well with John Weah. I don't know how to play that whole thing. Now it would be my wish to work with some of these guys in the future, so that I can put a little input. And then the issue with political economy and Donald Trump, I was just using that as an example. But if you go look at the record, Donald Trump don't get along at least 75% of his party doers because they think he's an idiot, and they all admit to that. I was just using that as an example that in the leadership form, people be criticized. So don't dwell your ascendancy or your leadership capability shouldn't be dwell on people criticizing you. Once you have an agenda, no matter what you say, no matter what I say, you get a focus point. Those are distractions. We shouldn't dwell on that. Dwell on the real message on who can alleviate the Liberian people from where they are to go forward. So I will stay by and just listen. Thanks a lot for the show, boss.
Yeah, coming right on that. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go to our analyst, Mr. Amos George from the line from Atlanta. Pa George, you have heard a lot of dissenting views on this here. So, put a lock on it before we go here this evening.
So all what everybody's saying, they are all right. But one thing I can say, leaders or those who want to lead a country cannot be coming out to be talking down on other people, using condescending words on the police in the public. Again, do it behind closed doors, but you can't come out in the public and try to denigrate other leaders or your peers. You can't do it. Leadership doesn't work like that. And finally, let me tell you, Mr. Soul, this is the hard truth. There is a tribal current on this whole thing that you see. Certain groups, there's a tribal current on this thing here. I have listened to so many people outside. They stay pushing the line that it is our time, that it is not time for the country people. Some of them looking at LA as a Congo man. And Benin had not said, but he had given an example. Why Benin tell people that he speaks more better than some of the people than Opon Wea. Opon Wea is cool, man. If you speak, why you have to compare yourself to that of you speaking better better than Opon? Opon doesn't speak no better. Why you want to go down that line? Let me tell you, some of us have been around for a little time. We know some of you talk when the people are talking. They are pushing. And I hate to say that, I know you personally, but the thing most of the time he always talking in a cool tone so that he want to appeal to a certain group of people that we are the real people, we are the country people. These are the things, and you can see it. And I just want to tell every Nigerian to cut this thing off. We should look for people who got a quality that will lead the country, not based on tribal line or ethnicity. I think we should have now gone over that stage. But some people in so many organizations still pushing that line that hey, the person from the southeast, we are done it. You cannot blame everybody from the southeast. You can't do so. Because one leader or two leaders came from and did something wrong, so you can't say everybody that comes from there, you're putting in one basket. It's absolutely wrong. And I want to repeat on my last word again. Benin Nigeria, if this organization fails, it's Benin Nigeria because his jealousy for Ellis coming. This is why, if this thing don't hold, it would be that reason. He made it clear when coming left from here, when you see there saying he left, we never saw him again. Why you make those kind of remarks?
Okay.
Yeah, so I just want to say thank you to our listener audience, but it's just my view. I know some people may not like it, but for me, I believe that is a real truth. It's all about jealousy and envy. This is why it boiling down to. And I think the Liberian people at the end of the day will make an informed decision to know who they will be carrying as a presidential candidate. Thank you, Mr. So.
All right, well, folks, that does it this evening here from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. I'm Alfonso Z, and so my special guest tonight was Mr. Wilfred Passaway, is ANC Global Chairperson, and you avoid post-interview reactions. Our analyst, Mr. Amos George, on the line from Atlanta, and all of the folks. Those of you following us online, tweeting, we want to thank you so much for being part of this conversation. It is our ultimate goal here at Liberia Public Radio to keep the discussions of our country at its full years with civility. What? Be reminded, all views and opinions expressed on this network does not reflect or represent the Liberia Public Radio, but we do facilitate this conversation. We want to thank you so much. We're looking forward to have other political party leaders, stakeholders, that will also leave their comfort zone and come somewhere else and see if we can ask all of these tough questions. Just how we front and critique national government, being in the opposition does not give you the pass that you will just go free. We must also ask you all of the tough questions needed, because we want to make sure the right thing is come out of Liberia. What our invitation still with the Minister of Public Works of the Republic of Liberia, Minister Mambutu Vla Nyimpan, who has agreed to appear on this network last week with the hope to provide more clarity to information on the newly proposed port project. That's the Rabat International Highway to be constructed, to have a little conversation. Our invitation still remains open to Minister Nyimpan. I want to thank you so much on having this conversation. Until then, we'll be back here tomorrow same time. The Liberal Progressive of the Liberia Public Radio, Samson Bloku To, will be here tomorrow with his usual program, Conversation with Samson To. Hopefully, we will have a special edition tomorrow morning. I want to see how it looks like. I want to thank all of you here, James David, Randall Gay, Grace Brown, Lady T, and Stanley, and our own man, Garrison F. Togba Jr. is in the nation capital of Liberia, Monrovia, this morning hour. Following this podcast as well. Frankie Roosevelt and all of those people, I want to thank you so much. About KR, thank you so much for being part of this conversation. Thursday, I'm going to be having a fascinating discussion. So we do not want to talk politics here. We talk some other issues that are affecting our nation. I'm going to be talking to Professor Joet Uwele, who is a Liberian nurse and also professor here. We'll be talking on some other little health issue here as some sort of awareness to our people. Healthy nations bring healthy society. So if you have anything that you feel that you want us to talk about that is a concern in our community, send us an inbox, call us, tell us, and we can make it a discussion. We believe every sector of the country must be visited politically, socially, economically, because all of those things have an impact on the economic growth of the countries. And so nothing should be left behind in our public discourse. Thank you so much. I'm Alfonso Z and Sort of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. I will have good to have you yet, and hopefully to be back here at some point in time. Bye-bye.
Siwa munaiga o,
they don't have a gap. Never can walk. Then my new one by so I don't know. But the next I can do it. Can you that boy? I only want to be a boy.